Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to the workshop on how to get jobs and internships under a senior advocate. This is not Ramanuj Mukherjee, this is Sanchita, an advocate on record at Supreme Court of India. You would have read about me on the workshop landing page, yet a brief introduction. So I have done my graduation in law from Aligarh Muslim University. I went to do an LLM at Essex, University of Essex. It's known for its international human rights law course. So I went through something at AMU that made me think of anti-discrimination laws with a great intensity. I had such experiences, and many of you who are from AMU would have heard it from your seniors. So that's what made me go to study international human rights law. I came back, I had plans to teach initially, but even before that, I always wanted to get into litigation. So that's what finally found its way, and I joined litigation. I've shared my story on the landing page, but a little more here as well as I take you through the session would be great. So first, I would like to know from you all, what made you attend the session today? What are you hoping to get? So you can just raise your hand and I'll unmute you and you can speak. Okay, so yes, Umesh, please go ahead. Hi, Umesh.
Hello, ma'am.
Tell me a bit about yourself and what are you hoping to get from the session?
Ma'am, I am a new junior advocate in a Gadchiroli districts and session court. I belong from Maharashtra, Gadchiroli district and session court. I would like to practice in a Bombay High Court.
I see. Great. So let's see what you get from the session. So is there something specific you are looking to get from the session, apart from, I get that you want to practice in Bombay High Court right now? You don't have any exposure to high courts. So we are basically focusing on Supreme Court today, but when we do that, you'll also get to know a lot about how high senior advocates at high courts also function. So I hope it will be useful for you as well, Umesh. Anybody else? Thank you, Umesh. Gaurav. Yes, Gaurav.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gaurav Chavla.
Good evening, Gaurav.
And I'm from Lucknow University. I am first semester student, and I have many seniors who have done internships under various big lawyers such as Tushar Mehta and other the solicitor generals of various times. So this is what fascinated me, that how to get such internships. And when I read the titles in the on my Instagram account, that how to get internship under senior advocate of Supreme Court, this particular line grabbed my attention, and that's why I'm sitting here in front of the mobile phone and attending ma'am's workshop, because I literally want to make my CV powerful, and I think that with wonderful guidance of you ma'am, I would definitely make through it.
Great,
Thank you.
Gaurav. I get it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. I really get your motivation. You really want to do it and why you want to do. The clarity of your thoughts is amazing. So yeah, welcome to the session, Gaurav.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dirg. Yes, Dirg.
Hi, am I audible to everyone?
Hi. Yes, Dirg. Tell me.
Yeah, actually, ma'am, I'm a same as Gaurav. I'm a first year student of law. So basically, I wanted to know how to get and how to apply for the job or internships, because, ma'am, it will make my CV. And furthermore, when you have a good CV, you carry a name like the college and tag you carry. So it will help you get more jobs at a tier one firm.
Right.
Because if you work under a senior lawyer, it doesn't show your capabilities, it also gives a responsibility on your shoulders. So when it's in the CV, it shows that you are a capable man of able to serve under a senior advocate. Hence, I'll be capable to work in their firm. Or even if I get a private client, they'll also have a assurance that I'm a good lawyer.
Right. Thank you, Dirk, for sharing this. So what we will be looking at today is not just how it looks on your CV. Of course, that's an important part, why people want to do it. It also opens up pools of opportunities for you. So we'll be looking at those as well. And then you can see how you can utilize those opportunities. First, how you can open them for yourself during your internships, because only when you have all those in mind that you will want to explore. Right, so we will be talking, though it's just a 3-hour workshop and there's so much to talk about. If there's anything particular you would like to know after the session, you can get in touch with us on LinkedIn or on Lawseeker's website. If you put a chat message, somebody will get in touch with you. So thank you so much, Deep. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing. Rupendra, do you want to say something? Yes, Rupendra.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, good evening. I was working in Delhi previously before the COVID time. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Rupendra.
Yeah. So I was working there with a law firm in Chandni Chowk. But my question is like I have worked with the other seniors as well. But the problem is with regard to the senior advocates, whether they pay well or what is the pay scale.
Okay.
Whether they
Got
are
it.
paying well, that is the question. Yeah.
Good
That is
question. So we'll address that as well, Rupendra. I get your point.
please. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Surya Kirti, can we hear something from you as well?
Hi, I'm a student from Hyderabad.
Sorry, you are.
Second year.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I'm a law student in second year. And I would like to know, to get an internship at a Supreme Court advocate, I would like to know more into the process, interpretations of the judgments or the process as such, and learn more into the law, because I'm a first generation law graduate.
Yeah.
And I would, my interest lies mostly in the constitutional matters and, as you said, humanitarian grounds and gender specific issues that I would like to internship more on.
Yeah. Got it.
And enhance my skills on that. So for that, I'm more keen about. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Surya Kirti. So today we just be talking about how you can, what are the challenges that you will face during internships with the senior, particularly for those who are looking forward to get a job with the same senior advocate, for example. What challenges do you see yourself facing in getting a job there, unlike law firms? So we'll be comparing the nature of internships, and we will then see how easy or difficult it is, what are the different ways in which you can get it. We'll be doing other sessions also, webinars, etc., that will be very useful for you in knowing how to read judgments and stuff like that, arguing skills. We've done one on drafting. So we'll continue to do those as well. So you might like to I'll tell you how you can keep a track on what's happening. Okay, so I think we can start with the session, and I get a hang of what you guys are looking forward to, and I'm also looking forward to having a very interactive session. I can still see 21 hands. I hope you all get a chance to speak, because there will be questions once I start the presentation. So let's take it forward, and then hopefully we'll have more time to. Yeah. So here you go. So first, let me start with internships, how to get internships. We then talk about jobs. So the challenges that students face while doing an internship with the senior advocate. Let's first look at that. So I'll take up the questions a little later. Maybe after a few slides, we can then go to the questions. You'll have more questions by then. So challenges students will face. So sometimes what happens, you go to a senior advocate's chamber, you have something in mind. You have this in mind. I've seen many students walking in and they are very, very desperate. I want an internship. What should I do? How can I do? And then they see that the same things they have done, the same strategies that they've either heard about from the seniors who got it, a PPO in a law firm, is not working in a senior's chamber. So let's first see what is different here. So let's start from there and then understand, then how can you turn that challenge into an opportunity is where we'll be heading towards. The first challenge would be senior advocates are very busy and don't have time or patience to delegate work directly to the interns or to supervise them. So your direct interaction with the senior advocate is very, very limited. So that definitely comes in way of how much you can have, impress them, or any sort of direct interaction would have an impact on them, but you don't get a chance. So in that case, if you are looking forward to convert this internship opportunity into a job, it gets slightly difficult when it comes to a senior advocate's chamber. Also, your ability to learn, not just converting internship into a job, but you have gone for an internship with a senior advocate to learn from him, but you realize that you're not even getting to interact with him. Juniors are assigning you work, and then you're going to court, and in court you're of course listening to his arguments, you're listening to other advocates' arguments. Then you at some point you'll be like, but then what's the difference? You feel lost. Then what's the difference? I could have done an internship in any other place, it would have felt the same. Maybe somebody else would have given me more time, then I would have learned more. So start questioning. The first time I did an internship, I had a bunch of people around me telling me, oh, you're in first year and you've come to do an internship in Supreme Court. That's a bad idea. That was senior advocate. No, that's a very bad idea. No, don't listen to such people. That's not how it works. Because see, the opportunity you get in a senior's chamber is very different. It's not just on the CV. Of course, I get on the CV, it looks great. You should get it. Therefore, but you also, and the second point is said was it opens up pools of opportunities. Great, that's also there to convert it into a job opportunity, to get referred elsewhere. Great. But apart from that, if we just look at the learning experience, so you are, again, we'll be talking about why do an internship with a senior advocate. There we'll be covering it in more detail. But even if you keep that in mind, that what will I get as a matter of learning experience, then you also get to read those briefs, those high profile complex issues that these senior advocates deal with on a daily basis that you won't get elsewhere. So we'll come to that in a while. So the other challenge is that there's hierarchical distribution of work. So of course that's there even in a law firm, but how it works is you never get to present something directly to the senior advocate. That may change at times, but it by and large it's there because the senior is so busy. The primary reason is because he's very busy in getting briefed, in appearing in courts, so he does not really have time to directly hear from you. At some points you will get small slots in between to speak to them, to interact with them, to share your experience with them. We'll talk about how to utilize those as well. So now I think I'll take a few questions before I proceed. Okay, so these questions. Good evening, ma'am. Due to pandemic, a large number of law students deprived from internship and they also passed out with second class. Have they got opportunities to do internship under senior advocates? So right now, senior advocates, unfortunately, most of them, because of the precautions they are taking, are not allowing physical internships. Some are allowing virtual internships, though. What work should an intern generally expect at a senior advocate's chamber? We'll come to that. That's definitely a part of it. Okay. can I get this video? It's going live on YouTube. You can have access to it anytime. Ganesh, you wanted it Hindi. What I'll do is I can do it bilingual, but many people would leave, unfortunately, if I start doing it bilingual. So what I'll do is I'll do another session in Hindi. I will definitely do it. That's my promise. Okay, Ganesh. Ma'am, how should a first year student approach a senior advocate and what to expect? Okay, so we will be coming to these questions in a while. How does one shift from independent practice to Supreme Court practice? That's part of another session. We'll be doing another workshop, particularly on this. Okay, how to do internship with judges? And the session. I'll still try to cover it. Can a journalist work as an advocate? Well, you need to have a law degree. Yes, Ganesh, go ahead. Hello, Ganesh? No? Okay, so let's proceed and then we take more questions. Right, so we'll take more questions in a while. Let's proceed.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, my name is Ganesh Bodke. I'm from Mumbai. Hello.
Hi, Ganesh. Tell me. Yes.
Yes, I'm from Mumbai, and I'm also doing a social work in a Vasco Foundation. Like it is a NGO where we like जो victims होते हैं like 498 ADV and 376 मैटर में इनके ऊपर फेक केस फाइल किया था, तो उनको हम लोग मदद करते हैं इन पार्टी इन पर्सन लड़ने के लिए. सो मैं जब 12th में था तब से ये कर रहा हूँ. और मुझे हाँ, और एक्चुअली मैंने आफ्टर ग्रेजुएशन मेरा कॉलेज भी चालू है, प्लस मैं जॉब भी कर रहा हूँ. मेरा जॉब जो है वो मतलब टाइम पास के लिए मैंने ज्वाइन किया था बिकॉज कॉलेज से मिल गया था. तो ये सेलिंग का जॉब है मेरा इंश्योरेंस कंपनी में. सो लाइक मुझे मनी मिल रहा है इसके कर रहा हूँ, बट मैं कंफ्यूज हूँ कि क्या करूँ, बिकॉज मेरा जो नॉलेज है अभी तक का वो है क्रिमिनल मैटर लाइक 370 एंड ऑल वो मैटर, और फैमिली मैटर, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस, मेंटेनेंस एंड डिवोर्स का मैं एक अच्छी तरह से गाइड कर सकता हूँ. अगर मेरे सामने अगर कोई फ्रेशर लॉ स्टूडेंट आ जाए तो मैं इसको शांत कर सकता हूँ, इतना मैं नॉलेज रखता हूँ. मुझे जजमेंट पढ़ना अच्छा लगता है. बट मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि अभी फिलहाल मैं करूँ तो करूँ क्या, मतलब इंटर्नशिप करूँ या फिर जॉब करते करते कंटिन्यू करूँ. थोड़ा वो गाइडेंस चाहिए था आपसे.
हाँ, तो आप ऐसा है गणेश कि आपका ये इस सवाल का जवाब मैं थोड़ी देर बाद दूं तो चलेगा?
यस मैम, थैंक यू.
हाँ, मैं आपकी बात समझ गई हूँ कि आप का सवाल क्या है. अभी थोड़ा सा जो मैं बोल रही हूँ उससे हटके हो जाएगा. तो अभी लेट मी फर्स्ट गिव पीपल.
और हेलो
जी.
और एक क्वेश्चन था मैम, जो अभी ऑनलाइन इंटर्नशिप मिल रही है जहाँ पे मतलब ऑनलाइन बताया जाता है कि ऐसे राइटिंग वगैरह जजमेंट के ऊपर लिखो, सो क्या वो यूजफुल होती है इन करियर इन लॉ?
जी, तो अभी ऑनलाइन इंटर्नशिप्स ही हर जगह चल रहा है, तो मैक्सिमम जगह. तो वो अभी के लिए तो वही यूजफुल है. अभी आप वही कीजिए तो बेहतर होगा आपके लिए. तो फिलहाल जो है आपका करियर डिसीजन ये बहुत ही अलग लेवल पे है कि आपको ये करना है या ये करना है. तो मेरी सलाह ये है कि अगर आप लॉ के ही क्षेत्र में करना चाहते हैं तो लॉ, तो फिर आप डिग्री लीजिए प्रॉपर और फिर कीजिए, उसके साथ अपना सेल्स का काम कर सकते हैं और उसके साथ इंटर्नशिप्स कर सकते हैं. यही मेरी सलाह होगी.
एंड आफ्टर लॉ ग्रेजुएट जब मतलब कॉर्पोरेट अगर लॉयर बनना है तो क्या सीएस जरूरी है या विदाउट सीएस भी हम एलिजिबल होते हैं एज अ कॉर्पोरेट लॉयर?
नहीं, आपकी कोई डिग्री आपके लिए अनिवार्य है.
सीएस की भी?
जी जी जी, सीएस की डिग्री हो ना हो, लॉ की डिग्री तो अनिवार्य है. सीएस हो तो अच्छा है, वो फिर एक अलग एक टॉपिक हो जाता है बात करने के लिए. बट हाँ, जो मिड लेवल फर्म्स हैं उनके लिए वो चाहते हैं कि दोनों हो, वरना आप सिर्फ लॉ की डिग्री से भी कॉर्पोरेट फर्म्स में जगह बना सकते हैं.
ओके मैम, थैंक यू.
मोस्ट वेलकम. Okay, there are few Q&A here. Does the law school from which a person is pursuing their degree matters? Well, Shubham, that's a question that whether it matters or not, yes, it matters. To what extent? Whether you can do something about it, yes, you can. So I don't think there's any factor that you cannot outweigh. So we'll come to that also. I have something to talk about there. Okay, so I think I'll first take you through a bit more. Let's discuss a bit more before we take further questions. So, hierarchical distribution of work is another problem that we see when, because of which you cannot directly learn from a senior advocate. You cannot have direct discussions, but you can definitely participate. You can sit in the same room when the discussions are going on. You can tell a junior that you want to sit during the briefing, or you want to, you can even shadow a junior. You can say that I want to learn, I want to be with you, I want to be a part of the process and see how things work. That's possible. But for that, you first need to build up a rapport and then see which junior will be more accommodative to such kind of requests. Okay, then we come to, okay. Generally, very few juniors work under senior advocate, 3 to 5 juniors. So they are mostly snowed under work. So therefore, that's in the problem. The time that they can give you is also very limited because they have to work in a time-bound manner themselves. Most of the briefings happen, most of the files come in the evening and the matters are listed in the morning. So that's the only time they get to prepare. They're there in court throughout the day, running from one court to another. They come back and again they have a briefing. Again, they have to work on the matter. Sometimes you have to work at night as well. So they really don't have so much time to sit with you. There are days when they can have. So you need to look for those kind of opportunities where you can sit and talk and discuss about a matter, or you can get work in between those windows from them. Difference in temperament and expectations of senior advocates and different junior advocates working in the chamber. So this is interesting because there's something to do with age as well. So you have a senior advocate and then you have junior advocates working in the same chamber. All their temperaments are bound to be different. So what will work with the junior advocate may not work with senior advocate. So you may like certain sort of self-projection may not work with a certain kind of senior advocate. So you need to understand, you need to be with them to know what is going to work, how much to speak, when to speak. So communication skills are something that are very, very important in a seniors chamber, because ultimately no one is really expecting you to do a lot of work because you're not going to work from scratch. It's all done. The brief comes, the briefing counsel is prepared, he's briefing you. So what more can you do? How can you contribute is a very big question that you need to understand first, even before you can contribute. You don't get to work from scratch. So this is very important, even for juniors. Sometimes juniors wonder, how do we contribute? And without an understanding of it, even they can feel lost. So you don't get to work from scratch, and therefore you need to understand the expectations that people have. So sometimes they don't have any expectations. I mean, they think interns come, do internship, they go. And that's why in most seniors office, you don't even have a proper structure where they are being shortlisted, etc. I mean, it doesn't matter to a senior advocate, frankly, who comes and who goes. It's fine. So in such situations, how do you then show them that what you're capable of doing when actually nobody's expecting anything from you? So you don't get, the next point is you don't get enough time to research and prepare notes. So as I told you, the briefing happens in the evening. Next morning, the matter is listed. There's just that gap you have. Then how? So even the junior doesn't have enough time. The junior is preparing notes, etc. The junior doesn't have time to even delegate it to you. So how do you then manage to contribute when such briefings happen? So one way to do it is sit in the briefing, understand everything, understand it, be in the briefing as if you are the one who is supposed to argue tomorrow. If you are the one who is supposed to argue tomorrow, then what is missing in this? Where can it get better? What is it that the briefing council has not yet covered? Is there a gap there? What will be the other side saying if I say this? Or the other side will say this point, maybe I need to work on this a bit more. And then you work on it. You work on it. Next morning, you go at 9:30 and you tell the senior advocate, you know what, this is what I thought can be done. Even if the senior has thought over it, he can appreciate it. So I think that's a good exercise you can do even during interview. Right. Difficulty in understanding what is expected from you. I told you that actually nobody is expecting anything from you, but this is what you can do. And that's mostly because of the time constraint. So if something is listed tomorrow morning, obviously this evening, even if an intern is sitting in a briefing, I won't expect the intern to do anything overnight. But if you can still show up with a case, if you can still show up with an argument, then of course you have the brownie points. Nobody can take it from that. Why do an internship with a senior advocate? So that if you have these challenges, if there is such a, I mean, nobody is expecting anything from you, it's difficult to find a place for yourself in a senior's chamber with an internship. So still, why would you want to do? Of course, you have said it looks good on the CV, but if you had to think in terms of exposure that you get or what you can expect to learn, what would that be? You get to observe. You get to observe how seasoned veterans work. So if you're a very keen observer, and I think that's one of the skills you got to inculcate wherever you are, whatever you are doing. You may be a student, you may be a young professional right now. I think this is one skill that you need to develop. And if you already have it, you need to grow bigger with that skill. You need to keep observing people. You need to keep observing proceedings in so keenly as if it's about you, as if something will happen, the outcome of it is going to affect you. You have to be that keen observer. You have to observe all the actors, the judge, the lawyers, all the lawyers. How's that guy observing these lawyers? All of that. I think it helps when you do that. Also, what helps is if you inculcate any sort of interest. So I'll be talking about transferable skills in a while. So if you can inculcate any of such, you already have one interest. Maybe you are interested in painting, you're interested in writing, theater. But I think you should pursue that. So all these skills that I'll be talking about will come to you through those means as well. So focus is a great thing, but along with focusing on what you want to get, if you can also develop at least one of these skills that you're already interested in, it also keeps your focus intact. It also helps you to focus better at what you're doing. And you can use those transferable skills, because litigation is something where you need a lot of transferable skills. It's not just your knowledge of law. You need a lot more than that. The kind of articulation you need. You also need to sell your idea. So even that helps. That's one of the transferable skills you need. You need to sell the idea of your client, the judge. So how do you do that? There's a lot of performance involved in courtroom, court craft. All of this would require some skill or the other that you can get by inculcating any of the interests that I was talking about just now. It can be anything. It can be, even gardening. I don't know. Okay, learn how a senior advocate's chamber operates. That's in the thing. You get to learn how it operates. Tomorrow you may become a senior advocate. You may also hire other juniors, and you may you may decide to practice independently. So you know the different ways in which it works. You may also join a senior advocate as a junior. You already know how the system works and where you can contribute in a better manner. I think it helped me because I did an internship to just step in and do my job. First, knowing what your job is during the internship itself. Therefore, I thought I was in a better place to contribute when I joined a senior chamber. Get to work on high-profile cases or those involving complex issues. So even as an intern, I think that's one thing that all interns do appreciate when they come to work with Mr. Khurshid or any other senior advocate, that they get to work on many high-profile cases. They get to read those briefs. They get to attend the briefings. So I think those are also very important. If I can have a look. Right. You get to attend briefings and appreciate what goes into preparing for a case. As I said before, that you can be part of discussions. You really feel you're part of the process, because drafting, etc., then seems a little boring. If you really get into the hang of things, then you won't feel that, oh, I'm not getting to draft. Oh, but I need to know this. How was this done? If you could really be in the process, right? When I say being in the process, you're actually looking at when will the briefing happen. Oh, at this time, okay, fine. Because no one will come to tell you, oh, now is the briefing, come, let's go. You have to keep, okay, what are the briefing schedules? You find it from the clerk. Once you find out, then you're like, okay, at this time, this briefing, I need to attend this. But before that, can you get the files? Who's handling this matter? You check with the clerk. You find out which junior is handling the matter. You go and ask the junior. They say, no, I'm reading it now. Is there anything I can assist you with? Okay, fine, this case. This is the issue broadly, so we need something on this. You go back, you start working. So you broadly know the issue. Then you sit in the briefing. You get more of it. You get to know why that issue was important and what are actually the facts of the case, how the briefing counsel is briefing. So it's very interesting how they brief. So our next session, our next workshop would be on how to brief a senior counsel. It's very interesting how they brief a senior advocate. They brief as if they are the client themselves, and with all the laws, etc. But they really represent the clients well. Good briefing counsels, that's one of the characteristics. So now you're also getting to appreciate, okay, this is how it's done. Great. And then maybe you get to read the file. If the briefing is, say, at 4 or 5 p.m., then you have time to read the file as well, or at least quickly have a look. And then next day in court, you get to hear the proceedings at 9:30 or whatever time. You can also get to hear the discussion. You can discuss with the junior. Then the proceedings happen. They come out, then discussing what next, etc. You get to hear that as well. Those discussions are very important in the making of you as a lawyer. I think it you may not appreciate it at that time, or you may just think, okay, I can go and have coffee and tea. They are going that side, let me go this side. That's one of the options you have. But if you can really be keenly observing and listening to them, you get a chance to participate. You get a chance to hear what's going on, and even they appreciate that you're really interested in the case, and then maybe they'll also indulge you in discussions, etc. Right. Opportunity to work after internship, I think we all know that's one of the things, and I'm keeping that in mind as I'm taking you through this workshop. Okay, what to consider? So one of the questions that keeps coming up is, do you really need to consider something, or getting an internship under any senior advocate would be as good? How do you decide then which senior advocate you should do an internship with? What are the factors should you choose? So now that's the thing, that sometimes you feel that you need to have one senior advocate on your CV if you're looking into working in the litigation side, or at least it looks good even if you're joining a law firm. So that's one thing people do have in mind. So in that case, any would do. But if you have a, say, specialization area in mind, then a senior advocate who is specializing in that area will only help you to make a way in that chamber as well. You never know. So therefore, I think it's better if you have a specialization area. It's way better to do it with a senior advocate who specializes in that area, like taxation, etc. There are senior advocates, criminal law. There are senior advocates who specialize in that. That's one. Second is the factor that you can keep in mind is, I mean, if you get under a high profile, somebody who is really known, top 5 senior lawyer, then of course you should go for them. You also have to consider whether you have contacts who can get you in any of these for internships. They really work. As I said, people are not really expecting you to do something. So in that case, it's actually nothing for them to give you an internship. So you just need a kind of contact who has a good rapport with him, and it just works. It's nothing. But if you don't have a contact, is a very good question that you would want to ask. And for that, how I got my internships can be something that you may want to consider. So I didn't have contacts. So my family didn't have contacts. I come from a middle class family. So I knew it right from inception. First generation lawyer, everyone was like, oh, you're going to study law. Do you have anybody in your family? No. Okay. But you don't know anybody? No. Okay. Fine. Great. No problem. You want to study? Go study. Right? So great. I went to study law. Now I was Mr. Salman Khurshid came to deliver a law day lecture on 26th November 2007. Right. So I was sitting there and I saw a professor walking towards him. And the professor's brother was my senior. And he thought, must be for an internship, right? He'll get it. Okay. Of course he'll get it. Right? So there were so many examples in my college life where I saw things work for people whose father or whose family members or somebody, right? It works for everyone, whoever's family members are somebody, right? So, but while I was listening to the lecture, there were two things that he said were really impressive. Now I think it wasn't that impressive. He said something like, time, no, he said, huh, uh, it's vernacular languages are timeless. Like yesterday, tomorrow. In English, we say yesterday and tomorrow. But in Hindi or in any other vernacular language, it's kal. Yesterday is also kal. Today is also tomorrow is also kal. So I was like, wow, yeah. So I was like, I want to do an internship one day, right? And then I forgot. So I applied elsewhere. That year, those who I see there are people from AMU joining in. So you would know there were a lot of disturbances happening in the campus. So sessions got delayed and I couldn't join that internship. So then suddenly I realized, oh, I was supposed to do an internship in this machine, but so I can do it now. But how can I do it now? But I have to do it. I want to do it. So I started thinking of ways in which I can. So one way, of course, was to apply via email. I could have Googled, and I think I found his email ID as well. But I was like, he was the UPCC president at that time, and he was also practicing UP Congress Committee. So I was like, fine, this is simple, but he must be very busy. How often would he reply to such emails? Will he have a secretary? Should I get in touch with some sort of secretary who can make things easier for me, with whom I can follow up? Okay, I can do that as well. But would the secretary be cooperative? Okay, but that's the last resort. That's what I will do if I don't find anything. Or maybe it will be easier if I get an appointment and I see him directly. I can do that. So how can I do that? Should I again contact the secretary, find the phone number? But I was like, if only I can get somebody to put me inside the door, right? Then I'm sorted. So I was like, I can't miss that opportunity. I can't do this that I contact somebody and I fail. And then I'm looking for opportunities. So if I have something better than this, then let me first try. So I started looking for somebody who was in Congress, and then he would know Mr. Kushin, who would be in such a position that he can get me, he can speak to him directly and stuff. So I found somebody. So I found somebody and I just requested for an appointment. That the person was, I didn't know the person so well as to ask him to get me an internship. So I just said, just an appointment, that's it. So I got an appointment. I went to see him. I said, I want to do an internship with you. He said, you're welcome. I said, yeah. He said, you're welcome. I said, okay. So he told me where to come next day. I went and my internship started. So it can be that simple as well. Just that you really want to do with under somebody, then you find ways of approaching the person. So there are different ways in which you can apply formally. There are different ways you can approach a person informally. So let's look at those. So when to apply, mostly it takes 6 to 8 months. So we have in Mr. Khurshid's chamber, we have 8 months, etc. I mean, people do apply in advance. Otherwise, we don't have any shortlisting policy. Mr. Khurshid is very clear that we don't want to have it because we don't want them to. He said it's inhuman to make students go through another screening process when they're already going through examinations, etc. But I think mostly the officers find it hard to get into that process because there are people with assigned roles, and I mean, you receive thousands of applications. You need a person to be just doing that. So that's not there. So either you apply sooner or you get in touch with somebody. It can be a junior, his junior, too, with whom you can follow up. So you email CCing, so you get in touch with the junior secretary clerk. You email at the email ID. Again, there can be different email IDs. You need to find out which is the email ID where you can apply for internships. Otherwise, you never receive a reply and you'll never get to know why you didn't receive a reply. So you email at the assigned email ID. You CC a junior secretary or clerk. You find out who they are. It can be a little easier to get in touch with them, to directly go meet them, get their email ID, CC them, or directly go meet them and tell them, you know what, I want to do an internship. It's that simple. You can just go and tell them, I want to do an internship with so and so person. At the most, the person will say no, right? But it's easier. So the easiest way is to meet and talk, or talk over phone or email. So whichever way works, do it. But if you really want to get an internship, you do everything under the sun to get it. And then, of course, you follow it up. Okay, what are the various ways you contact someone who can get you in the door, as I told you? Or it can be corridors of the Supreme Court. So you may be doing an internship with somebody, but you want to do it with a senior advocate. You are already clear about it. You find the senior advocate in the corridors, or you're not clear about it, but you're clear you want to do a next internship with a senior advocate. You see somebody and you're like, oh, wow, no, I want to do it under him. You'd go and talk to him. But it can be tricky. So corridors of Supreme Court, SCBA cafeteria, these places can be tricky to talk about internships. You have to look for the right opportunity because there will be too many people around. There will be too many advocates around, a senior advocate craving for his attention. So they don't want somebody else to get his attention. All that happens. So in that case, how do you make room for yourself and have a very, very kind of, calm and peaceful discussion about something, and then you bring it up. So it can be the bar room. It can also be, so I've seen students who come for internships, they find out where any conference or lecture, etc., is happening during that time. They register for those, or they just walk in, and there are a lot of lectures happening at ILR, so you need to know about them. You need to find out beforehand, or when you're doing internships, you just have to keep your eyes open. So once you're in, mostly it's not invite only, students do come and them. So there, after the lecture, you get an opportunity. But there's so many students these days. I remember once Siddharth Luthra was there. There were so many students who came to him, that Mr. Luthra was like, you go to her. She's a great lawyer, you go to her. So that's a bad kind of situation to be in. At the most, during the situations, you can get his email ID. But otherwise, you have to look for in the opportunity. So one way to do it is that before you approach them, you do your homework. And when I say you do your homework, you find out which cases they have. So sometimes you can also just wait for people to leave, and then you already know what you want to talk about. You go and you talk about that. So you need to do some homework. You need to find out what cases they have done. You need to find out what you like about them. So I think what to say is very important. You can't just go and say, oh, I want to do an internship. You can, but there will be more chances of you getting an internship because there's so many people who approach them on a daily basis. Even approaching them is so common that you really need to have something else. You need to be doing something else. So sometimes you get to hear arguments. So sometimes it so happens that during an internship, you actually hear someone arguing so well that you're like, I really want to do it. Then when you go and speak, and you speak from your heart, so whatever comes out makes sense. And the person will never ever refuse it. I can guarantee you that. So you need to be able to speak your mind during those times. You need to be able to go to them and have the courage to talk, because I know there are students for whom it can be very difficult to go to senior and talk. But do that. Just for the sake of letting them know what you like about them. They like listening to it. Just go and communicate. I think that's a great way to start. So, and they remember you also. You don't know when you may be going to brief them at some stage. Even when you're a student, they would remember you after 3-4 years. You never know. You can make that impact as well, just by one conversation. You can have that impact on a person. So you can be very specific which case you like. When did you hear them? It can be in your previous internship. Never mind, go and talk to them. You make it interesting, make it authentic. After a certain age, all these things do matter. I mean, I get you may be thinking you can, there are people like, if somebody comes to me and says, oh, I like it, I'll be like, yeah, great. But after a certain age, I don't know why, but it does matter. People coming and telling you something, especially young generation coming and telling you something. It feels special. Like for you, it will feel special if somebody who is older to you will come and tell you. So that in either case, it's a good practice to do. You should do it. You read the judgments. You may have come across a judgment where they had argued really well. You have read the judgment, and oh wow, this point that you made really made a difference in the case, etc. So if you are really moved by something, I think you should really communicate. It's very difficult to make up and deceive. I mean, that you cannot. So just be authentic. If you think it's likely to be cut short, or you'll be interrupted by lawyers who are craving further attention, as I told you, then you tell them. You just begin a conversation. You say that, this is what you like, but of course, you're busy right now, so can I come and talk to you later? So you take an appointment from his clerk right there, and you meet them in their office or chamber. And then you have a detailed discussion. And then they may ask you, which year are you in? Tell them, internship. It's like, I'm doing an internship with so-and-so. I'd like to do an internship with you. Most welcome. Okay, so I've already told you, keep looking for such conferences. Read about the topic before attending. So I told you, during the post-lecture discussions can get very difficult because there's so many people with so many interests coming to them. So maybe reading about the topic before attending and then kind of showcasing your knowledge may be one of the ways of doing it. So there's a difference between information and knowledge. So mostly what students end up doing during these lectures or even during the high tea discussions is that they start telling about what they know, right? Now, in doing that, you actually don't realize that what you are saying may be in the domain of information that they are not interested, even if they don't have those information. People who have reached that stage may not be interested in getting information or in even appreciating, oh, you know so much, because it's in the domain of information that anybody can know, right? But if you talk about something that's in the domain of knowledge, which is which comes with a deeper understanding that shows that you understand the subject, that you've read the subject, you get it, you have some insights to share. So you need to really dive deep into it, read more about it, go beyond what is generally said and written about it. Have your own ideas about it, have your own opinion about it. And then when you talk about it, that's what really impresses people. I'm talking about senior advocates. So it's not how much percentage of people would do something, etc., that would impress them really, but something like even though these many percentage of people do it, I think that this is what makes sense, etc., etc. Something of that sort that you think will impress them more than the information that is in the public domain. Okay, asking questions versus displaying in-depth knowledge and ability to analyze. So again, there are students who think if they ask questions, they can impress. That doesn't work. We can see through why you're asking question and that question doesn't make sense, or you're just asking because you think if you ask, it will make sense. But so instead of doing that, if you can display, even when you're asking a question, if you can display in-depth knowledge, not again just information, or so and so has said this. So many students do that, they quote somebody, that's information. So if you really like the quote, there is a way to place it when you're presenting your thoughts. So your thoughts weaved in those quotes, or those quotes being weaved in your thoughts, there's a difference between that. So what you end up doing it, you make the quote bigger, and then your thoughts somewhere crumble inside without making it seems like you're just showing off that you know that quote and there's nothing underlying it. So just make that thought you have underlying thought that you have, make that bigger, and then weave the quote into it. Yeah. Okay. I was talking about the pools of opportunities that can open up after a good and successful. After this, I'll take questions. So one is, of course, CV. It looks good on your CV. But beyond that, if you do well during an internship, then you have senior advocates have their own network, right? So even if they cannot accommodate you, if they find you to be sincere, dedicated, they find you to be somebody worthy of being referred, then they'll refer you somewhere, right? Junior advocates have their own network. Junior advocates may be going independent. Like I was hired by somebody who was junior to Mr. Tripathi, under whom I had done an internship. So that's possible. That's possible with just an internship. Briefing counsels who come to brief. Again, you never know. You never know where you get that opportunity to make a mark. You never know where and when you would get it. So therefore, keeping your eyes ears open all the time is important, very important during an internship, because you just get a very brief span of time to make a difference. You have in-house counsels and clients, so sometimes briefing counsels can be in-house counsels themselves. Sometimes drafting counsels can be accompanied by in-house counsels, clients. So again, that helps. That helps because people don't forget if they see a bright person uh, making a contribution, somebody who's not expected to. Yeah, I think that's what makes a huge difference. Somebody is really not being considered part of it, right? So there was this arbitration proceedings going on. Mr. Tripathi was arguing, and I was being asked by Mr. Tripathi to, you can have this, you can have that, these snacks and stuff. It's amazing. Food is amazing. Juniors are telling me, "Oh wow, you're going to go to a 5-star hotel, etc." I'm like, gosh, nobody realizes I'm taking notes. I'm going to work on the matter. I've been working since 9:30 a.m. Nobody knows. How do I make somebody know this? That I'm actually working on the matter. I'm not here for food. Why is everyone saying, "Oh, you can have food"? So there's no way I could do that. So many days passed. So there were two proceedings. One passed, nothing happened. Everyone was focusing on food. Next one came, and this was my second last day of the proceedings. And I got an opportunity to say something that made a difference, right? Because nobody else thought that something beyond what was being discussed over a period of time would be relevant. So it didn't click anybody. So it can click anybody anytime. It's not like only people who are working on it for so many months would get that idea. You can have it because you have read it recently, right? So they may not see all those things connected, but you can see. You may have read a judgment, you may have read a provision recently, and or suddenly you may think, oh, but this is what it is, right? So that can happen. It's not like only a senior advocate would have such ideas in mind. Anybody, an intern, can also have in mind. If you have such ideas in mind, you need to convey it in whichever way. So I conveyed it to the briefing counsel. He told the senior advocate. The senior advocate acknowledged it in front of everyone that this is my learned intern who said this. And I got the attention of so many people. I got the attention of Gail's law officer. I got the attention of lawyers on the other side, the arbitrators. Arbitrators, one of them was retired Delhi High Court judge. They all were like, nobody had thought it, otherwise they wouldn't have even put forth that question. But it wasn't out like something very extraordinary. It was just a provision in Partnership Act that everyone knew, but it just didn't click, right? So I think you should not hesitate to point it out if you have such something in mind. So these are the pools of opportunities. What does a good and successful internship with a senior advocate look like? So let's do this and then we take a quick round of questions. One that leaves a lasting impression on the senior advocate. How do you leave a lasting impression? Why do I say lasting impression? Because you may be doing an internship when you are in the second year, third year, fourth year. You may be looking for a job with the senior advocate quite later, right? You may have gone abroad for a LLM, you come back, then you want to do a job. Whatever. So how do you, it has to be lasting enough so that when you need to find a job under a senior advocate, you find him. How do you do that? You contribute in a significant manner, right? So how do you contribute in a significant manner? Let's take a few questions first. Okay, I'm pursuing LLM in Securities and Investment Law from NISM Mumbai. How can I get a job of associate with a senior advocate? So we're going to discuss, we are right now in internships and how to convert into job opportunities. We will be discussing jobs in a while. Okay, so let's allow Shubhrajyoti to speak. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, all. Actually, I raised hand quite a lot.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, like back then, I was having a very good topic asking about few like career options like in corporate law. Now we have like quite, came forward from that topic only. So basically, can I ask the question now?
Yes, please.
So I have completed my LLB from Goa University, Assam. So I was planning to pursue for corporate law, corporate law, corporate advocate, something like that. But like people from my area doesn't even have a single idea how to start career in this respect. So the people I've asked till now, they're saying like, just practice litigation for civil or criminal, but it's not like it's the only option I have. So I've tried to contact many people. Even I shifted back to Bangalore last year. I did few internships on law firms, asking them like a few of them said to do intellectual property laws, then laws relating to finance. I mean, negotiable instrument act and all regarding those. I did, but still I couldn't find a way to how to start my career in this aspect. Other than that, if I appear for legal team of every company, we can also say legal advisor. So I was wondering how could I apply for those posts, as they were asking me to have some not basic, but proper knowledge on drafting, and then 3 years experience or 7 year or 8 year experience or something like that. So how could I apply to a better law firm while the medium law firm or the average law firms are not even accepting my CV?
Right. So one thing is that you need to first start somewhere, get an experience, and then make your way. If they're asking for an entry-level experience, and you need to have that experience.
Mhm.
Another way to go about it is to develop some sort of skills that will then help you in getting a good job in a corporate. In a while, Abhyuday will be joining. I think he'll be the right person to guide you on this, on corporate law, because right now we're discussing on Supreme Court litigation. I don't want to deviate from the topic, so let him join. Stay with us for a while. I think within an hour or so he'll be joining. You can ask him questions.
Sure. That's why actually I asked. Like we have deviated from that topic already, so I didn't want to bother
No,
asking now.
it's
It's okay.
okay. It's okay. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
asking.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So OnePlus 8 Pro, you can go ahead, ask your question. Right. Vikram, do you want to ask?
Yeah, ma'am. I would like to ask.
Yes.
So, I'm a journalism student, ma'am. I was actually. I've recently completed my postgrad, and now I'm a first year law student. So, I have initially done my struggle in journalism, and what I have heard from many of the senior lawyers is that, when you enter into this profession, they always say that there is no money. I'm not really sure the true part, but that is what I have heard. So now the guidance is actually the most important thing that I have seen in my life. So I come from a middle family background. So, so I have to do a lot of struggle. So since I'm now in as being a law student, want to know how I can, or if you can guide all of us and let us know what will be the right part to choose or to choose
So
a
first,
specific.
let me understand your question. Are you still confused between whether you should pursue a career in journalism or law, or are you sure you want to pursue a career?
I'm very sure about law.
Perfect. So in that case, now all you have to focus on is how to get good internships, how to develop your writing skills, your legal skills, all the skills that people students elsewhere have, because then you will have to compete with them to either get a PPO during your internship itself. So if you get say you get an internship in a good law firm and you get a PPO there, then of course you don't have to worry about your salary. If you land up, so it's not like litigation has no money. So all those are myths. People say senior advocates don't pay. Myth, right? So somebody had told me, and okay, let me tell you who had said. So Professor Faizan Mustafa, when he was the vice chancellor at NLU, he had also learned through his experience that, you know what, if you have the potential, you can fix your price. So just develop that kind of potential, that get to fix your price. That's what I would want to tell you. You don't need guidance on how to get. I mean, because you have a doubt in mind right now that whether I'll get paid well or not. So first remove that doubt. There's nothing to. I mean, there's a lot of money in the profession. You get paid like starting can be 2 lakhs, etc. That's not a problem. You can make as much money as you want. That's not a problem. How you want to do it, where to focus on, etc. are choices you make. Of course, we are here to guide you. There are webinars happening, workshops happening, law coders, so many courses, etc., where you can then inculcate those. You can then develop those skills as you proceed, so that you can compete with other students and professionals to 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 get what you want, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so Dirg, I'll ask you to speak later on. You've spoken once. Afifa. Yes, Afifa, go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Afifa. I am also from AMU and a first generation. So I instantly felt a connection with you when I read the Law Sikho program music about the webinar.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, like AMU is a college which focuses more on judiciary. It's judiciary oriented.
Yeah.
So how to make and because it's also a problem what I have faced. Law firms there are big law firms which focuses on they. I don't remember the name, but was there in the application process? It just said students only from AMU can NLU can apply and so forth and so on. How we could pass through this and other problems which students from universities like AMU face. If you
Right. So I'll just tell you something, Afifa. So I was trying to apply. Some ministry had come up with some internship opportunity, and it said only national or university students can apply. So obviously, I was disheartened. Obviously, at your age, I was finding reasons. And there were many. I mean, the branding was really affecting me. I was not getting calls for internships, etc. Nobody was even giving me an opportunity to show what I have got. And as you said, mostly they are judiciary aspirants. People are preparing you for judiciary. I mean, I could have cracked judiciary in one go. I didn't want to do that. So then why are people, I mean, I was good I mean, my basics were so damn strong. I could have done well in so many things, but how do I get an opportunity is the question. So first, when you shift the focus from, oh, they are asking for an LU, oh, they are doing this, oh, these people, etc., even in mood court competitions, if you can just get over those, if you can just get over those and you start looking for opportunities instead, or you just focus on what you have to do now in order to get something in the future, right? That's very important. Journey is very, very important. I think that's the most critical. How you do it is very important to reach a certain goal. Goal may be same, different for people, but it matters what you do during these years, right? Whether you crib about it or you try to find ways of overcoming it. Sometimes you're not even trying to find ways of overcoming this particular hurdle. I'll give you an example. So now I couldn't apply to that ministry. I don't know, it was environmental ministry, whatever. Now I was sitting at ISIL and reading, just reading. Why did I go to ISIL? I don't know. I used to, so the best example of nepotism, let me say it, I've never said it aloud. So at some point, in AMU, I was denied access to the seminar library. You would know what a seminar library is. Now, I was denied access. I was not being issued books. So I was so frustrated. I was like, I need to read, right? So instead of focusing on this, look, this is what is happening and therefore I cannot read, I said, I need to read. I want books. I started investing. I started buying books, but all of them were not in market. I used to take this long list of books to Naisarak and Daryaganj, and they would be like, these books are not there. I was like, where will I find these books, right? So then I started ordering from Amazon. But anyways, the point is, I was sitting at ISIL, reading books, and I would go to ILI, I would go to ISIL. At some point, a group of people came, and they were looking for something, right? And they were then started looking at the books. I had books on war crimes around me. So they started looking at the books. They looked at me, they smiled. So I asked them, are you looking for something specific? So they said, yes, this is what we want. So I took that exact page, etc., from that book and I gave it to them. I could see that they could really appreciate it. They left. After a year, I was participating in a moot when one of them, no, I was participating I was doing a course there. I was doing the summer course. That's when I realized they were law officers. One of them had come to teach us, two of them, in fact. So then I thought I can apply in ME Ministry of External Affairs, Legal and Treaties Division. They were law officers there. So I can apply there. I'll put my photograph, they'll recognize me and I'll get an internship. And that's exactly what happened. So when I called to follow up, I was told the person who's handling it, he said, oh, we have got like 50, 60 applications. So yours is not, you won't get it. So I said, fine. Then he said, oh, are you the one who was referred by so-and-so? So I got a referral from somebody who was part of the department when I didn't even intend to. Whereas there were other people who got that internship by taking references from, say, their department professors. Like somebody from Ramana Lucknow had got a reference from her professor. Our professors were not interested, right? So I'm saying all this to you, FIFA, because you would know what I mean.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah,
They are still
yeah,
not interested.
yeah. So that's the thing. You can either trip about it because there are factors in everyone's lives. It may be different for different people. Now you are paying hardly, like I used to pay less than 4,000 fees annually to study, to get a degree, right? You get the same degree, whereas other people are paying over 2 lakhs. Does that make sense? Coming from a middle class family, paying so much and then not knowing what to do in future, does that make sense? How much stressful their lives would be. So there are factors affecting people's lives everywhere. The idea is to get over it and focus on what you can do, what you want to do, and why you want to do, and then go about doing it. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was
Most
really helpful.
Most welcome. Okay, let's go ahead for a while, then we'll come back. Okay. So, what are the attributes of an intern or junior who contribute effectively? Let's look at this. Bird dogging. Some question, let me see what the question is. This was a wonderful question. Okay, perfect. Right, bird dogging. So this is one word that has fascinated me since the past few days. I mean, I'm stuck at this word because this is like, bird dogs. So bird dogs are these hunter dogs. So hunters take dogs with them, hunters who hunt birds. They take these dogs with them so that, I mean, a bird is flying somewhere, they shoot. And these dogs are such good observers that they know exactly which angle it was shot at, which direction it would have fallen, and they would go exactly there and get the bird. They're very fast. So bird dogging is what you need to do. Like so keenly observe, unless you have a recommendation. I mean, if you have a recommendation, you don't have to do any of this. If you have a recommendation, that kind of a recommendation that can get you a job, forget, don't do any of this. But if you don't, yeah, if you have a recommendation, I've seen people coming in two pieces with all sorts of sense of entitlement and coming and going and yet making it. But if you're not that, and even if you're that, you don't come with a sense of entitlement because you don't know tomorrow who you would need for anything. I mean, your matter for any assistance support. So let's come back to bird dogging. So bird dogging is what you need to do during your internship. Bird dogging is what you need to do as a lawyer, as a junior. You're observing very keenly what's going on. And then you're grabbing the opportunity. You know exactly where, what to say, when to say. So when a discussion is going on with the briefing council, you would know whether you need to say it. Then at that time, you need to say it later, before the client, what do you say to the client in front of a senior? All of those equations you have to keep in mind when you're speaking, whether you're an intern or a junior. It does not mean that you don't speak, but you really need to be not just careful, but you also need to be very, very keen to grab the opportunity, is what I mean by bird dogs. When I say grabbing the opportunity, I mean to speak up, to have ideas right at that moment, and to be able to speak up both. Okay, there was a Bollywood reference there. I missed it. So, this is a Bollywood reference. So my friend used to say that Nothing in India can get conveyed without a Bollywood reference. So here's a Bollywood reference for you. There was this movie called Lafange Parinde, right? So this woman loses her vision. She is a roller skater dancer. She wanted to participate in India's Got Talent. She could not. So obviously, I mean, everyone left. How will she do it? So the protagonist, he takes his face and puts it inside a reservoir full of water, and she's trying very hard to come out, right? Finally, after a few seconds, he lets her come out, and then he says that the desperation that you were showing there, the effort that you were making to come out, that's what you need. Only when you have that, he said, "Kira onamanta." So only when you have that, you can make it. Otherwise, there's no point in making effort. So that's what I mean. Bird dogging reminds me of that. If you're that sharp, there's a point in making effort. Otherwise, there's no point. So just have that kind of an urge to do something, and you can do it. Next is coming up with out of box innovative ideas. So that's one thing that I think, because otherwise it's very difficult to contribute. Otherwise it's very difficult to even stay relevant. That these days people use that word, staying relevant. So for a junior or for an intern to stay relevant, to keep contributing, it's important to keep coming up with out of box innovative ideas, not just in your matter, whatever is happening around you. You need to develop that skill as well. So let's see how those juniors who contribute significantly are also the best devil's arguments further. So being the best devil's advocate would mean you're able to look at all angles, all dimensions of the arguments, of the counter arguments. So that kind of a 3D image you need to have. It has to be that exhaustive kind of a work that you do. Understanding the requirement was following instructions. So there's some people who are very good at following instructions, but they can't go beyond it. I'm not asking you not to follow instructions. You need to follow instructions, but you also need to understand the requirement while following the instructions. So when you're listening to the instruction, you also parallelly need to process it to understand why the person is asking me to do this. Where will it be used? How will it be used? Right? So if somebody, for example, asks you to research on an issue, you come back and start researching on that issue. You write a note, you go back with it. And the person is like, all I wanted was a case on this point. You could have just brought me that one pair. So in that case, you ask the person why you want it, right? So you got the issue on which you have to research on. Then you ask why you want it. If the person says, oh, I need to draft a petition for XYZ purposes, then what you can do is, along with your research, you can also write it in a manner that it can be used as a ground. And then if the person likes it, the junior likes it, then you can say that maybe I can draft the rest of it as well, etc. But what one is not expecting at this point is an introduction, a conclusion, if you have been asked to just research on an issue. So it's important to understand the requirement along with following instructions. Sometimes understanding the requirement can also mean that you come up with another issue that the junior wouldn't also have thought about. So that's why when you understand it holistically, when you ask questions to understand in the best possible manner, then that helps the person, that helps you. It may take a few more seconds more, but you then get why you are doing it and you can contribute then. Thinking on your feet, this is very much related to bird dogging. Identifying what needs to be done, related to, again, what I just said, quick ability to analyze. These are all skills that are related, but how you would develop them is a question that you must be starting to have right now, and I want you to be with those questions. So you train yourself to think of, as I said, what being a devil's advocate, people who are very good at being devil's advocates. You how can you be that? You can train yourself to think about all the aspects of an argument and the counter argument. You can practice. You can practice making everything you do abundant and exhaustive. Keep thinking, keep thinking. So whatever you write on, so you can practice it from today. Whatever you write on, wherever you write it, you have to make it exhaustive. You have to keep thinking till the time you made it exhaustive. Just writing does not work. Just writing what you know does not work. Just researching for a couple of hours, oh, I'm done, does not work. What it takes to make it exhaustive is what matters ultimately, because it's that what gives you an edge over others. Everyone will come up with A, B. If you can also find C, and if you're in a habit of finding C while finding A, B. So it's like you develop a practice to do an exhaustive research. And each time you sit to research, do an exhaustive research. Each time you start writing something, you write it exhaustively. That's how it works. So that's what gives you an edge over others. Then you practice doing it in a time-bound manner. I only have a couple of hours. That's something that's very important when we work as juniors. I think that's what is the key, that you only have. Sometimes you have to work on our phones. Sometimes you're working even in the court, right? Because ideas can strike you anytime, so you don't stop working really. So sometimes people say that in academic research, but I've found even in legal research, that's what happens. You can keep digging, 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 and you keep finding something, and you will keep finding something if you keep digging. So that's one way of training yourself, of practicing. That's one way to stand out. Be creative. I think that's one of the most important things that people miss out, being creative. People think lawyering is so mechanical. They've made it so mechanical. It's about, okay, so I need to earn so much, I need to do this, I need to learn this, I need to learn this. Great, fine. But in each of those skills that you're talking about, in each of what you want to learn, you have to be creative. It's only by being creative that you give yourself that edge over others, because otherwise everyone will learn ABC and do the same thing. That's what will give you an edge. Again, sometimes people have ideas, but they're hesitant to share, right? So you may have, so every one of you is creative at the end of the day, but there are blocks that stop you from even thinking. Forget sharing, even thinking. So you don't even complete those thoughts. You have blocks. Those blocks could be your fear of sharing, fear of even thinking, fear of being able to. I mean, does this make sense? I mean, it could be something like, is it good enough? Am I good enough? There could be doubts, or there are so many people. How will I do it? So the moment you start having those kind of doubts and fears, your thought process gets affected as well, and you stop being creative. So whatever creativity you have, you all have it. You just need to let it flow. You need to write, you need to speak, you need to be able to develop. You need to keep your fears and doubts aside and then work, because so long as you have them, it won't let you work, won't let you do a good job, it won't let you be effective in whatever you do. So that's very important. If somebody has a question on this, you can ask me right now, otherwise let me proceed. So I'll tell you one example. Indulge in a deep process of learning rather than merely knowing. So some of you, I told you the information versus knowledge bit. So that's also important. So while you are, I know these days students' minds are diverted in so many things. You also need to take care of all of it. You need to maintain a balance between deep learning, extensive and intensive learning. I think that's important. That's very important. I don't think there's a substitute to intensive learning. So whenever you can, You need to indulge in the deep process of learning rather than merely knowing. That helps. You don't know, especially in litigation, especially with senior advocates, this is one thing that's going to help. This is the kind of knowledge I was referring to. Unless you indulge in these kind of deep processes, it's very difficult for you to come up with those kind of new ideas. It's very difficult for you to connect two things and come up with something that nobody else has come up with, etc. So in order to, otherwise you can be mechanical. That's an option. But if you don't want to be that, if you want to be part of something that's growing, law that is growing. So each time I am in the Supreme Court, I have this feeling I'm being part of the process of growth. So to be part of that process, in order to contribute in that process, one thing is working, getting job, etc. But another thing is of being part of that process of legal evolution, of the evolution that's happening every day. You need to indulge in some sort of the process of learning, something that each of the senior advocates who you hear about these days have done in their student life. They still do it. They are so busy, yet they do it. Maybe at 2 in the night, they come up with those insights. I have seen, so Mr. Khurshid writes one book every year. He has seen him typing on his iPad. So he's arguing cases, he's reading briefs, he's sitting in briefings. All of that's happening in between. In his car, he's typing with two of his fingers on his iPad. That's how he writes a book every year. So if he can do that, I mean, you guys with all the, I mean, it's fine. You guys are busy. You guys are doing so many things, but I think it's still important, and it's still very crucial for you to keep the learning alive, to indulge in to dive deep. That's what I mean to say. If you stop diving deep, then I think our entire system will be under threat. Everything will get mechanical. Lawyers will become like robots that you don't like. Time management. Yeah, so I was talking about you need to work in a time-bound manner. So when you're doing an internship, it's very important to understand that this person is working in under a very tight schedule. You need to understand, you need to ask the junior, how much time do I have? If the junior tells you, you can give it, they're generally very, they'll tell you, okay, by tomorrow afternoon, you can give it to me. Then give it to him or her by morning. Or if the person is in court, etc., has a hearing, etc., by evening itself, then the person gets time to review it, give feedback, comments, and then you get to, again, work on it. Because everyone has their own style of working. In one go, you may not get it perfectly right or perfectly the way they want. They may not have been able to convey their expectations. You may not have been able to grasp it that well because you are not working day in, day out in litigation. So therefore, there may be gaps in just delivery, So once you get that, then you have time to, and that happens even in law firms. I think this will be useful. So then you have time to revise it and come back. If you give it at the last moment, because the person themselves is giving you time, that's very last moment for them. After that, they won't have time to give it to you back, and then so either the person will throw it away and start working themselves, or they'll just ask you to do it, but it won't be useful for them. So to make it useful, you need to give it in early, get feedback, and then review it and come back again. That's a useful exercise. It's more like a relay race. It's like you pass the baton, the person starts then working on further on it. You can take the baton back, you work further. Yeah, so you can work that way as well. So sometimes you develop that kind of a rapport with the junior that you can keep passing the baton to each other and okay, I'm working on this, I work on that. And you come back and then you can see what you further find on this. I found this much so far. It works. Okay. Strong legal and writing skills. So the legal and writing skills that you require for litigation can be different from you may say, writing articles, etc. So you need to be very accurate and precise in your articulation of issues and arguments. I think that's one thing you need to practice when you are writing any sort of. So even when you're preparing a note, you may be asked to just prepare a note. It's a very general kind of you're not told how, what, structure, etc. So I think one way to do it, you may have subheads, you may have whatever. I mean, you may have your own organization structure, but you need to be accurate, you need to be precise in the language that you use. That's very important. Demonstrate professional civility. I told you, don't go with a sense of intent. It doesn't work. Proactively participate. So I'll tell you one example. So it's quite related to being creative. So being creative does not stop at just having ideas. You also need to share it. So when you share it, and sharing it at the right time with the right person is the key. So one thing that had happened during my internship with Mr. Kashyap was he wanted to know something. He was asking so many people, so many lawyers, right, with 10, 15 years of experience. So one day he asked, and they said, "Oh, I haven't given it a thought." Okay, I also didn't think. Next day again, he asked a bunch of lawyers. They were like, "We don't know." That's when I thought. By then, I had something in mind. So the answer was deemed possession. Just had it in mind, but I was like, they all would know this, right? Deemed possession is not rocket science. They all would know. It must have striked them, but they wouldn't have said because that's not the answer. There must be something to it, something more to it. How can it be just be that? So, and this is like a second year student dean position. I didn't read about it. I just had heard the term somewhere. So this is when I thought, no, but I need to, if he's asking so many people and he really needs to find out, it's been 2 days, he hasn't found it yet. So let me check what the imposition means. So I go to the library and I look into the legal dictionary and I find the meaning of imposition and I realize, no, this is the term I'm looking for. This is the right term to explain what I wanted to say. So I come back, and then after much, hesitation and all, I finally tell him that can we deem possession? He said, yeah. So I said, no, but I'm not sure, He said, no, this is the answer. Deem possession. It didn't strike. So that's what happens. So being creative doesn't stop at just having the thought. You also need to share it right when you need to share it. Otherwise, it goes wasted. That's what bird dogging is. You need to also capture and bring back the bird, right? That's when people notice you. Otherwise, it's of no use. You just having great thoughts, you just being brilliant is of no use if you don't put it to use for somebody else. Right. Strong interpersonal skills and communication skills. So these are soft skills that you need to have. So for Supreme Court practice, you really need to have great soft skills, like not just with clients, but with other. So the network of Supreme Court lawyers is very diverse. You're interacting with lawyers from different courts, not just Supreme Court, High Court, district courts. You can get matters can get referred from anywhere. You're interacting with senior advocates. You're briefing them. All of these. So you need to know how, when, what to speak, etc. So that's the very important skill. As an intern, also you need to develop when you're talking to a senior advocate. How can you just how can you effectively communicate something? So how can you? So each person will have their different, comfort levels. Each person will have their own ways to respond to stuff. So how do you adapt to it? Sometimes it can take a while to understand what it would take to adapt. Sometimes it can be easy. So when you get used to it, when you really have good and strong interpersonal skills, then it's very easy for you to adapt and you start behaving exactly the way the person would want you to behave. So for some people, talking about yourself may make them feel uncomfortable. You yourself will know, and you yourself will start sounding very humble before them. But there will be people who will judge you by how much you talk, how much. I mean, they would want to know about you from you. So you then start talking about yourself, etc. So these kind of flexible communication skills, it does not, it's not really about who you are then, it's also about how well you adapt to the situation around you, and then you communicate with people, communicate not just by word of mouth but even non-verbal communications, etc. So then this is one of the things that you need to know. How do you learn all these things? That's important, right? The other thing is leadership quality and being a bellwether. So one thing that happens when you're working as an intern or when you're working as a junior is you need to, at some point, be able to show your leadership quality. You need to be able to, so it's not like you need to, but if you can, it gets noticed. So if you're given a work and you can involve other interns with you, and you're like, you know what, can we work on this together? Can we just, maybe you can, this is like a huge thing, and this needs to be done by today, so you can maybe work on this. You can divide the aspects, and everyone's with you, everyone wants to work with you. Of course they also want to get credit for it, and you're taking care of all that. So when you go to show your work to the junior, you all go together and you're like, oh, she found this. So how can you do that? Are you able to do that? That can also get noticed during your internship. There have been occasions when we have told our senior that, oh, this person, we just asked him to do this, but the person actually got this much done, etc. Be a bellwether. That's very important. I mean, somebody who creates path for others, basically, is something that you can look forward to rather than following the herd that everyone's doing this, so I also need to do this. Transferable skills. So I'll just show you a transferable skill checklist. Just a sec. I'm very bad at this. Okay. Astha, you'll have to tell me if you can see this.
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. So this is a Minnesota University's transferable checklist, skills checklist. Transferable skills are those skills that you can use all across. So it's not, there will be some skills and knowledge that will be legal, hardcore legal skills, but these are the skills that are useful everywhere. If you learn at one place, it will be useful at other places as well. So what are these skills? So you can have this kind of so you can see broad skills, specific skills, goals, implementation, objectives, assess your scholarly and professional competency. So let's go down and see what these are. Communication. So the first transferable skill that we're talking about here is communication. Broad objective of the skill would be skillfully express, transmit, and interpret knowledge and ideas. So you'll have to see whether you are able to do this and what will it take to do these skillfully, to express, transmit, and interpret knowledge and ideas. This is a broad skill. What are the specific skills that this broad skill is made of? So are you able to speak effectively? So you can do this exercise. I'll just share the link with you. So you can give yourself scores and then see what you need to further do to improve yourself on this particular skill. So you can see if you are able to speak effectively, and I have differentiated what just being able to speak, just knowing good English, etc., doesn't work. Are you able to speak effectively? Like Gautam could speak effectively even when he was speaking in Hindi. So are you being able to speak effectively? Can you communicate across cultures? For a Supreme Court lawyer, that's very important because you have clients from all over the country. So you need to communicate with them. You need to understand they're coming from different places, and not just by way of saying that you understand, but how your non-verbal communication sector, all that has an impact whether the client will trust you or not. So that's very important, whether you can communicate across cultures, even with other lawyers. They all come from diverse backgrounds. Communicate to a wide audience. That's important because when you're addressing even the court, you're actually addressing, and you're even if you are not very conscious about it, you are communicating to a wide audience. So are you being able to do that? Communicate to a non-specialist, or say if you are sitting in a briefing, while a briefing is going on and you want to speak. Now there are so many people, all of them will be looking at you the moment you open your mouth. Will you still be able to communicate as effectively? It's important to know that and to work on that. Communicate to a non-specialist audience. These will be your clients. Write concisely. Listen attentively. It's a very important component of communication. Express ideas. Facilitate group discussion, right? Provide appropriate feedback. Negotiate. Perceive non-verbal messages. This is what I was talking. Observing involves perceiving non-verbal messages as well. This is very useful when you're sitting in court, when you are sitting, when you're arguing. This is very handy. If you're able to do that, then nothing like it, because mostly judges keep quiet and you don't know what's going on in their mind. Then being able to perceive those messages really helps, because they do send those messages. Persuade. Are you able to persuade? Report information. Reporting is as important part of integral part of communication. Describe feelings. So reporting would be going to the junior and saying, oh, I've done this much, but you know what, I'm getting stuck here. Even that's reporting. Describe feelings. Interview. Edit. Right. So these involve both written and spoken communication. Right. Let's look at the second broad transferable skill, research and planning. Are you being able to, so the broad objective would be successfully search for specific knowledge and conceptualize needs and solutions. That's what we do as lawyers. We are conceptualizing solutions and giving it to people. We need to research on it. So are you able to forecast and predict? Are you able to create ideas, identify problems, imagine alternatives? So when you're seeking relief, you also need, particularly when people come to brief senior advocates, sometimes we see that it's not realistic to ask for this. Then what else can we ask for? What is it that will be reasonable? What is it that we should be pressing for? What is it that we can do away with? Then we counsel the client, and so that they're on board with us. This is what we're planning to do. Are you with us? Solve problems, set goals, extract information. When you're speaking to clients, this comes handy. Define needs, develop evaluation strategies. Then you have human relations. I'm not taking you through all of these, but human relations would include interpersonal skills to resolve conflict, relate to and help people. Management and leadership would be supervise, direct, and guide individuals to complete tasks. So all these come handy when you are in litigation, particularly in Supreme Court. Work survival, use day-to-day skills to promote productivity and work satisfaction. So you can find this. I'll just share the website with you. Wow, I'm very bad at this. How do I go back to? Okay, I have a way to do this. Right. So I'll just share with you in the chat box. And if Astha can share it on YouTube as well. So in the same website, you'll also find an individual development plan that you can then use to then see, to set goals for yourself as far as these transferable skills are concerned, till what time you want to achieve what, and even generally as far as your goals are concerned as to what you want to do. You want to do an internship, then what skills would you need? How much time do you have to get? So you can have long-term, short-term goals. So individual development plan, you can just Google individual development plan. You can follow any of the templates. There's one given in Minnesota website as well. So you can use these to then mark. And if you need any support from any of us, you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can contact Ramanuj on LinkedIn, etc. And you can seek guidance that I am really struggling to develop this one particular skill. What do I do? Is there a way to do it? Because there are people who teach you drafting, etc. But then when it comes to these kind of skills that come very handy, very useful in your internships, in your jobs, then who teaches you those? Then where do you seek guidance from? So you can just get in touch and we see how we can support you there. Okay, so a bit about, since I was talking about teaching, like people can teach you stuff, people can train you in stuff. So I've developed this course on Supreme Court practice for LawSeco. It will include drafting, procedure, and strategy. So we will be looking at these kind of transferable skills as well, while we will learn drafting using a hands-on approach. It will be an experiential learning. We'll have role play simulations as well. That's where you will get to apply and use, and you get to know where I'm lacking in which skill, then you get to work on it. This is what we're planning to do with this course. This will be the first batch. I'll be starting the live classes from 15th of February. I'll just tell you a bit about it, and then Abhyuday will join any moment. So specific learning objectives. I'll first take questions if you guys have any, because I'm so we've just covered internships so far. We'll be talking about jobs as well. Salary in senior advocates chamber, it varies. So there are senior advocates who pay you more than 2 lakhs as well. There are senior advocates who pay you less. There are senior advocates who pay a certain less amount while they pay more to another. So it's quite different, but it's not like they don't pay. Okay. Okay, can I ask you, Sanchita? You had to ask something more than just that. Right. Perfect. So let's go ahead with the specific legal objectives, and then we will take it forward. We're yet to do the jobs part. How do you get jobs with senior advocates? So we'll be doing specific exercises on how to read and analyze impugned orders. Because when you're filing an SLP or an appeal in the Supreme Court, you're dealing with impugned orders, unlike lower courts or even writ jurisdiction where you don't have impugned orders. How do you read these impugned orders? Because by the time a matter reaches the Supreme Court, you have an impugned order of the High Court or any other forum where the other courts orders are also discussed. So if it's High Court, it's discussing trial court's order as well. So sometimes it can be confusing. So what we'll do is we'll train you to read the impugned order in an effective manner, fast and effective manner, so that you can quickly scroll through it. You can I'm saying scroll through because these days we are doing everything online. So either you scroll through or you scan through, skim through them, and you pull out grounds and you do an effective job in less time, because time is of the essence when it comes to Supreme Court. You have, particularly in SLPs, but particularly when you have an impugned order that's like really thick volumes of impugned orders, then what do? Then you you have a strategy in mind to skim through them, because sometimes clients come to you at a very late stage when you don't have time, you have to move for condonation, but you can't really write in the condonation application that, you know what, it took a lot of time, it was a long order and it took a lot of time for me to read. You can't say that. Then what do is the question. So this is something that we're going to train you in. What to cite, how much to cite when you're drafting a petition, then it becomes very important. How to call out the settled law. So we'll be practicing these, how to skim and scan through judgments fast, and how to use it while arguing before Supreme Court, because you're not going to cite cases from, say, lower court in the Supreme Court. Will be Supreme Court judgments, but even among Supreme Court judgments, which ones? Sometimes you feel that the recent ones should be cited. Sometimes you feel, no, the landmark ones. Which is a landmark judgment for any issue? How do I know if this is what I need to cite? How do I know which issue should I work on which issue should I find proceedings, etc. Devising different strategies for different kinds of petitions. Again, there's so many different kinds of petitions that get filed before Supreme Court. So you need to know, we'll be using hands-on approach to understand which works for which kind of cases. So you need to be able to think through and devise a strategy before you advise your clients that for this SLP would be the best. You need to be very confident about why you are doing something and not the other. Hone drafting skills, keeping in mind the following aspects. So you need to keep in mind the aspect of maintainability. You need to keep in mind the ingredients, understanding what would constitute material facts for a petition, appreciating the possibility of experimenting with ideas and language. This is something you don't get to do in other courts so much. Like, you don't get to experiment with ideas and language the way you get to do in the Supreme Court. That's how law develops. I was talking about growth and evolution of law. That happens because you're experimenting with ideas here. You have a huge responsibility when you're practicing before the Supreme Court. You have the responsibility of taking the law forward. You have the responsibility of bearing the burden of people of far-fetched implications that whatever you argue and whatever you do has. Therefore, it's important to hone those skills. Keeping these in mind, what to plead, how to plead, we will be understanding. We had a recent issue on Article 32 and 226. Alternate remedies issues have keep coming up. So how do you navigate through those issues? What do you do? What do you advise your clients? Or if you really want to file in 32, how can you still do it? Are the questions we'll be looking at. How to prepare for hearings, notice stage, post notice, miscellaneous, regular. We will be doing role play simulations to understand the factors that determine the content of oral arguments. How much do you emphasize on a point, etc. Something that you really learn through experience. We'll try to provide you. We will have experts. We'll have senior advocates. We may have retired judges as well to help you, to guide you in understanding these aspects, because there's nobody else to tell you. I keep telling you about observing, but you only get 1 month and get a few hours in the court observing, and sometimes nothing happens. Cases after cases are being heard. You don't even get to go on miscellaneous days during internships. When you start practicing, you're so busy doing your own stuff, you really don't have time or energy to observe somebody else's matter. So when do you learn? How do you learn? That's why we have devised this course to help you learn and understand what works, how it works, and what you can do so that you get those skills right now. You get that knowledge right now that you can use, and you can then further utilize them in doing what you want to do. Then you have written submissions. Recently there was a why do you need to even file written submissions? It's very important that you do it in Supreme Court after the judgment is reserved. Sometimes it takes a while for the judgment to come out. Recently, Supreme Court has cited a convenience note. It was filed. They were very impressed by this convenience note filed by Chhattisgarh's panel council, and they have said that everyone should be filing something of that sort. So we look at those aspects. We look at what makes things convenient. Like right now we will be looking at what makes it convenient for a senior advocate. We'll be looking at it in the next workshop, how to brief a senior advocate. So we'll be looking at how to make it convenient for them. So similarly, how do you make it convenient for the judge to understand what the points you're trying to make, and to understand the facts, to be very quick and not miss out on any of the points, etc. We'll be looking at that as well. It's very, very crucial when it comes to Supreme Court. Issuance of notice, some people say, oh, it's just luck that Supreme Court may not issue notice. They hear so many matters in a day, they don't hear you out. So what do you do then? No, it's not sure luck. We'll be distinguishing between a good draft and a not so good draft from the context of getting a notice issued. We look at what works and what does not work, because at the end of the day, the Supreme Court judge reads the draft and comes. I did a webinar last week. You can see that as well. I mean, you don't get to argue much at the notice stage, because the judge is reading the draft. The judge has made up their mind. So what do you do with the draft? So that how does the judge go through it? So what changes can you make? How will you do if you're asked to do right now? And after knowing it, you will definitely reach in the level of drafting skills when you take the course. Areas we'll be working on, we'll be talking about the applicability of various jurisdictions. Research, you will get to hone your research skills. Drafting petitions persuasively, it's easier to look at a format and draft it, but somebody to tell you to using a hands-on approach with meticulously drafted exercises, telling you how to do it persuasively, that will be useful for you. Preparing for arguments, briefing a senior, we will be doing role play simulations. It won't just be in the knowledge domain. It won't be that, oh, you need to do this and do that. It won't be that. It's a workshop right now, so I'm just making the most of the time, but that will be very different from this. Arguing effectively, court craft, practice and procedure. So we will be looking at, so if you want to apply for your examination, then it will be useful for that as well. We'll be taking you, we'll be covering the entire course that's required for the advocate on record examination. Functioning of registry is something that many people don't know. I mean, I'm planning to get a registered clerk to talk on functioning of registry, how things work, what works, what does not work inside the registry, how to get matters listed, curing defects, etc. I mean, it's a huge issue in the Supreme Court because people just don't know how it's done. We have learned it from clerks, and it will be very useful for you all to get to know this. Client and case management, we will be talking about client counseling as well. I learned it the hard way, but I'll make things easier for you. Professional conduct, etiquettes, and soft skills for Supreme Court lawyers. So we will learn through role play simulations the soft skills. Professional conduct, it will. So we'll do it both ways. We'll cover the practical aspects. We'll cover the theoretical aspects as well for those who are appearing for the year examination. Practice development, as I was talking about, the network being very different, the networking skills that you require will definitely then be very different as well. Then how do you develop your practice? Where do you start from? If you're directly in Supreme Court, does that help, etc.? Right, advocate on examination, I already covered. Training methodology, you'll have 24/7 online access to basic study material through online learning management system, Android. Hard copy study material will be provided to you, it will be couriered to your address. Practical exercises, 1 or 2 practical exercises every week. As I was telling you, it will be followed by written feedback. Role play simulations in exercises in class. Live online classes, there will be 1 class every week. Experiential learning, hands-on approach, role play simulations. I already told you these are the 3 ways that we'll be using to train you in drafting, in research, in reading, in preparing you for Supreme Court, for practicing in Supreme Court. Support in getting internships. So Law Seeker provides support in getting internships and placement with advocates of Supreme Court as well. Now let's look at, so we have covered internships with senior advocates so far, how to get internships. Now let's look at how to get jobs. There could be a few chat messages. Okay. So let's see, how do we get a job with a senior advocate? Is it okay to join a senior advocate's chamber right after college? This is a question many people do ask me. Is it okay? And I say no. I say no as an answer.
Many have asked this on the chat also.
Okay, Asta, thanks for saying. Okay, so it's not okay because you need to, as I told you, you don't get to work from scratch. So you already get drafts, right? You already have the files ready, it has already been filed. Sometimes it comes for vetting. You get to read what they have drafted and it's settled from by your office, etc. But you don't get to draft from scratch, and there's no better way to learn drafting than to do it yourself. You learn only by doing it. And that's why in the course structure, we have prepared it in a way so you get to do it. You learn by doing it, and then you get feedbacks, and then you further work on it. You, as weekly exercises, you get to draft multiple drafts, right? So that's how you learn. So it's not just about getting the format right, it's also what goes into it, how do you research, how do you, so all the skills that I was talking about identifying, about the ability to analyze, etc., all that develops as you do it. So it does not come to you just like that. It does not come to you when you read a file that's already prepared. It does not come to you when somebody's briefing you and you have all the ready-made knowledge being given to you. It happens, and you also develop the ability to think beyond what is being told, right? Only when you yourself have worked from the scratch before on, it may not have been a high profile matter, it could be any random lawyer, but you should have worked in a drafting chamber before you join a senior's office. That's how you get to contribute the most. That's how you find it fulfilling to work there. That's also something that's important, not during your tenure with a senior, but after that, when you start an independent practice or wherever you go, you join a law firm, etc., then you feel that gap. You feel that gap for the rest of your life, because after joining a senior advocate, then you don't go back to a drafting chamber. Then that gap remains with you for the rest of your life. You really struggle to learn those things, right? So I think both are important. So working in a drafting chamber is important for the reasons I told you, and then working in a senior advocates chamber will give you a certain kind of exposure that you may not get elsewhere. So even that becomes very important. But you can still do away with that if you're briefing a senior, etc. With time, you'll get there. But if you have not worked in a drafting chamber, you'll never ever be able to bridge that gap.
Let's go to Q&A, Sanchita, if we can. There are 3 questions, very interesting questions in the end.
Okay. I've completed my law and I'm now ready to start practice. I have no practical experience right now. So should I join my home state advocate? Oh wow, you asked me the exact questions that I want to speak on. And get the basic procedural experience in district court, or should I go for internship with senior Supreme Court advocate? Which will help me gain more experience? Will I get the basic procedural experience if I go for internship with senior Supreme Court advocate? Right. So if you are talking about getting procedural experience of working in a Supreme Court, then of course you can do an internship with a senior advocate. But if you want to practice in Supreme Court in future, it's not a bad idea to start from the district court. So I don't know if I have written it somewhere, but this is something I always want to share with you, that once you go, oh, it's in one of my interviews. So once you are practicing in district court, and then perhaps you start practicing in the high court of the same state, your own state, right? So then when you come to Supreme Court, then people there know you, and they can then send you matters. So you have a source from where matters can flow to you. Otherwise, there are even senior advocates who struggle to get matters because they don't have a home state. So if Delhi is your home state, then you're stuck only with Delhi. So of course you can do matters in Delhi, you can do it in either case. So if you have that option, then do exercise it before coming to Supreme Court. And if you still want to directly come to Supreme Court, then also you should have some sort of connections. You should keep networking there. And good way to start is, of course, internship, and then finding your way to getting to work with, say, Advocate on Record, or a firm that does Supreme Court matters, etc. So it all depends where you get your break, but starting in district court, if you can afford to do that, is not a bad idea at all. Okay. Many suggest to start from district level in order to learn the utmost in the field of litigation before joining senior advocate. Is it true? What are the differences of learning point of from a fresher's point of view? At district level, okay. So when it comes to learning, and if you're only looking at learning, right now I was focusing on where you can get clients from. But if you're looking at learning, and you think that you should start from district court because that's where the learning starts, I think that's not correct. So you can always start working in a drafting chamber first. That does a few trial court matters. Better would be if they allow you to do trial court matters. After a while, they would leave the trial court matters for you because they'll have to handle high court, Supreme Court, whatever they're doing. So mostly you'll find people doing high court and trial courts. So I think it would be better to go for a drafting chamber that does high court matters, at least high court matters also, if not Supreme Court. You then get a kind of exposure that will help you in future to excel, to rise in the ladder. So then you can look for somebody who has more matters than he has, or you can look for a senior advocate, etc., etc. But thinking that you learn more by starting at district court is not a great idea, because trial is something you can learn very easily. There's nothing, I mean, it's just a procedure thing, I mean, exhibiting and stuff. You can learn at any moment. As far as the witness examinations, etc., are concerned, even High Court has original side. So you get opportunities to learn even there. But yeah, doing a few trial court matters initially in your career does help you in future. There are trial court people who have a very strong trial court procedure knowledge that has helped them in arguing in Supreme Court as well. That helps, but that's not indispensable. You can get that kind of knowledge at any time. Sooner the better. So just having a nice, mixture of your forums would be good. Like, I wouldn't tell you to start from NCLAT, otherwise you won't learn company law. That's not how it works. So you're doing high court, but you are also doing with someone who has NCLAT matters as well. So even if you want to do something, does not mean you close other options. I'm in first year right now. What should I do? How to get internships in courts? Well, how to get internships? I think you guys had done a workshop just on how to get internships. You should watch it. It should be on YouTube. This I'm particularly focusing on how to get it in a senior advocates chamber. I told you the different ways. We have already discussed. You can go back if you have joined late. Then you can go back and hear it on YouTube. What are the different ways of getting there? Okay, now we're looking at jobs. Unless is there any other question also I need to look at?
There are plenty, but you can go ahead with the PPT. You can take the questions simultaneously.
Okay, perfect. What are the different ways of getting a job in a senior advocates chamber? Right. Just a sec. I need to plug in. Right. Internships is definitely one of the ways, and we were talking about how to convert internships into a job opportunity. You can apply via email. Not sure how many would respond, but if they are looking for, the main challenge while applying at a senior advocate's office is it doesn't get advertised. Senior advocates are not that vocal about talking about, oh, I need a jury. It's a bit of a stature thing. I mean, Juniors are not that indispensable in a senior's office. They keep coming and going. It's not like they can't have a sixth junior. So there's so you don't have a vacancy. They can do with 4 as well. They, even if they have 5 and 1 left, they can do with that as well. But and even if they have 5 and the 6th comes, they can do with that too. So if you can, so it's a bad question to ask to have a vacancy. You just have to somehow manage to show your worth, and that's how you make it to a seniors chamber. Apply via email, informal setups. The same rule applies here as well. Looking to impress, leaving an impression. There's a difference between both. So it doesn't mean that if you're looking to impress, you won't leave an impression, but it's like even if you're not looking to impress, you can leave an impression just with the help of your work or your showcase of knowledge. It can be anywhere. Even if you were not planning to impress somebody, you can end up doing that. But being over enthusiastic about wanting to impress somebody doesn't work. One can see through it. So avoid doing that. Okay, there's a Bollywood reference here as well. I think I'll skip this. This is skippable. But I'll share with you at some point. This Bollywood reference is amazing. Recommendations. Recommendations. So as I told you, that a lot of these happens through recommendations. So even internships, jobs, they happen through recommendations. There are different kinds, but there are different kinds of recommendations. Of course, for people who have recommendations, I'm very sure they're not even attending today's workshop. But if you don't have that kind of recommendation, you can still create one for yourself. How? Family or friend contacts, if you have that, you don't have to worry. Work contacts. But again, family friend contacts may not be as effective. Why? Because some of them may put in a good word, but that may not be enough to get you the job. If somebody can vouch for your ability, and that can be a work contact, your job is done, right? And that person who can vouch for your ability can be at any level, anywhere. It need not be that particular senior advocate. So if somebody else has seen your worth, if say at a law firm somebody has seen your worth, they can refer. If during an interview a law firm's partner has seen your worth, and they see that you will be, or for some reason it doesn't work out for you, want to join a senior's office, etc., or at a later stage you want to do that. So you don't know at what point what will work. I know somebody who was referred like that. So that's why you can create your own recommendations. There are people who I have referred to senior advocates. So you can create those kind of recommendations too for yourself. It's not necessary that your family or friends need to know somebody for you to for you to get a good place to work at. Okay, so what should you be looking for a senior advocate? Before applying for a job, should you be looking for something? So the same question. So when you're working with this, for internships, you may not, right? But when you're working, I think you should. You should. So one thing that people look for is whether they allow juniors to take up their own matters. That may not be the deciding factor, but you should still find out if that happens, if they allow, because at some point you'll have that transitional phase when you start getting your own matters and then you'll go independent. So whether that will be possible in the senior's office or not will be a good will be something to look at. The workload, of course, you need to see if you can manage it. Specialization area. Some senior advocates have a particular specialization area, say taxation, etc. So, of course, if you are looking to establish your own practice, if your specialization area is taxation, then you should really look for a senior advocate who specializes in that area. If not, then of course. Temperament, working style, that's important. It's important to be able to at least. So I've seen junior advocates starting to behave like the senior advocates, even if they didn't appreciate that particular quality among the senior advocates. They start calling people exactly in the same tone and manner as the senior advocates would do. So you really need to also see if you would be comfortable with their working style. Some of them may be very organized, some of them may not be so organized. Will you be able to work with them in sight? It's something that you should really consider. There are people who don't, but I think it should be considered before you join, unless you don't have an option. And then, of course, everything works. Law officers chamber. So now there's a difference in the working of senior advocates chambers, even among senior advocates chambers. So if it's a solicitor general, additional solicitor general, law officers, then the matters get assigned quite late, right? So they get their files and they're like these many files. Panel counsels, of course, they'll get few files, even if it's marked at 7. The files will be fewer, the matters will be fewer. But for solicitor generals, etc., it's like piles of files matters being sent at 7 or later, and then they start working. So juniors start working after that. See, the counsel has to read overnight. It's a very, very stressful atmosphere because he has this long list of matters that are to be argued. So there are times they write just next to it what the matter is about, etc. So it's a lot of work for the junior counsels as well in those chambers. What you get to do while working with a senior advocate. So when I went to do an internship, my impression was you just have to prepare a list of dates. Why do I need to prepare? So I was asked to prepare a note by a junior, and I was like, what do I write in the note? They said list of dates. I said list of dates is already there in the petition. What's there to prepare? And I didn't understand that these people just have this job. I mean, they prepare a list of dates. So if you have that understanding, it really doesn't help you. You wouldn't even want to work in the senior advocates chamber, but that's not exactly what they do. So time factor, I already told you even during internships, the time factor that juniors will have, they have to do it in a time-bound manner, etc. Law officers chamber. Note now how there are different lawyers, different senior advocates prefer different kind of note. So you need to understand what kind of note will work for them. But more than that, sometimes they may not tell you exact format. Some senior advocates have a very strict format that they follow, but sometimes you can also be a little innovative. Like for the 2G case, I had prepared, there were like piles of files, right? So I had prepared something that after which Mr. Khushi would refer to it as roadmap. So whenever he would want something of that sort, he would say, can you prepare a roadmap for me? So basically what I had done was I had just put it in a systematic manner, which document has to be referred after which document. And then I had prepared a convenience volume so that people don't have to jump from one file to another. So all these helps. So this is the kind of work that goes behind what senior advocates argue. So to make the senior advocates sound good, there's a lot of work. People think that sometimes when the senior advocate is not arguing in a systematic manner, we think the senior advocate is not arguing, but that only shows that the juniors have not done their job properly. That's the difference. Convenience volume, compilation of judgments. So I would quickly want to show you so the different ways in which you can do it. I would have ideally wanted to show you how to, but I think I skipped that part. If I have time, I'll show you how I do it. Written submissions, convenience note. I told you why it's relevant. What are the other factors that have been found to work for those looking for a juniorship under senior advocate? So these were the skills, etc. I talked about that will work for you, that you should develop. But the other factors also, apart from recommendation, that works for people. So generally, the juniors who join are not freshers, right? And even if they are, sometimes they're very well connected. They come from such families, etc. But even after working for a few years, some people are really, really well connected. They have their own clients, etc. So they can get matters, or they're really good at networking. They can get matters to the seniors because seniors are not supposed to directly communicate with the clients. So it helps to have a junior as well who will get matters for them. belonging to, so the junior belongs to the same region from where the senior gets a lot of matters, so that cultural affinity that helps. So sometimes they prefer, if somebody from that region comes, they would prefer. So you can also keep an eye on that, that if you belong to a certain region, is there a senior who gets a lot of matters from that region? Specialization area, I told you already. Uh, presentable, it's very important for a senior advocate, because because at that stage where they are right now, optics matter a lot, face value, all of that. So being presentable in front of the people that come to their office or chamber, that's important for them. Foreign degree, so this is a pattern that one has seen, that a lot of seniors have hired juniors with a foreign degree or who come from reputed universities. It just helps to make their chambers presentable. I think this is all I would have. Okay, so as you can notice, having prior ability to perform the work can result in a big leap in your career. For those who are interested in learning further, we have launched a course, Supreme Court Practice, Drafting Procedure, and Strategy. The course is starting from 15th of February. You're all welcome. We'll have 2 classes per week where different aspects of drafting Supreme Court petitions will be taught. You'll also be taught how to write articles on Supreme Court practice, and our team will help you. Yes, Abhida, would you like to speak?
No, sure, you can go ahead. I will keep explaining if there are any questions on this. So you're taking 2 classes a week.
Why
Okay,
don't you
I
take
will.
this from here?
Okay, so just allow me to screen share and I will do it from my computer.
Okay.
So hi everybody. This is Abhyuday Agarwal, CEO and co-founder at Lawsico. So thanks for being with us for almost two and a half hours. So I'm for those of you now, you've already seen that what is the relevance of prior training in being able to get matters, in being able to find internships or juniorships with Supreme Court advocates, right? So some of you may want to start learning, and starting early is definitely is the key to success. And now the thing is, when do you start? You can start at any point in time if the area of law interests you, because see, whether you work in a firm in disputes practice, whether you work is for a trial litigator, at some point or the other, always you're thinking, okay, let's file a SLP for this, let's file a writ in the Supreme Court for this. Okay, so that angle of thinking is very important to have. Okay, so in case you want to start learning further, you want to start ahead, so we've got a course which we've been working on for a very long time now. It's been in the works for about 8 months. Okay, and only after that we are like rolling it out. And this course is on advanced Supreme Court practice, drafting, procedure, and strategy. So as a young lawyer, what can you learn about Supreme Court? You can learn the drafting work that a Supreme Court advocate does. And drafting at the Supreme Court is quite different from the trial or high courts, and Supreme Court has its own rules and all of that, and their own principles are followed. So for that purpose, a specific course for whether you do civil side, SLP, criminal side, writ litigation, any of that, you will need to learn the specific principles applicable to Supreme Court work. Okay, and these principles are not written inside the Constitution of India. In Constitution of India, which you study in first in your college, you are learning, okay, Article 136, Article 32. But what are the, and then you learn some provisions of civil and criminal jurisdiction of Supreme Court in the Constitution. But how does that litigation work? How does a lawyer do that work? That is the part that we are focusing on teaching. And the course is starting from February 15th. So we're giving you some time to think about it, plan it out. Also, you'll have 2 classes per week. Sanchita said usually our courses have 1 class per week, but Sanchita said that no, the course syllabus is quite intense, and so she will need to take a briefing session for where you will be given the exercises to perform, where you'll have to draft these Supreme Court petitions. And drafting these petitions means, there are various benefits you can have if you learn this skill. One is that directly, if you want to work with a Supreme Court advocate, then that is very useful. But secondly, if you ever join a trial litigator or a lower court litigator or appellate court litigator in the high courts, and somehow the matter is to go for Supreme Court work, then for those purposes it will be helpful. If you are independently practicing at the high courts, most trial lawyers also have a trial plus high court practice. Okay, very few people exclusively restrict themselves to trial courts. So if you're doing a trial plus high court practice, from time to time you will be wanting to challenge the high court's award in an SLP, the high court's order in an SLP. Okay, now so at that point you will need to know how the Supreme Court drafting works. And another thing is that a lot of times there will be opportunities to do drafting work on a remote basis for lawyers whom you already know, for seniors you know. Okay, so you may not have to be based in Delhi. This is not a Delhi lawyer's course. Okay, Supreme Court is in Delhi, but the work for a senior lawyer can be done even remotely. Okay, and if you look at the lawyers who are doing well, or lawyers who have 10 to 20 years of practice, they always have these this network where they will refer some of the drafting work to people in their network who don't work for them on a fixed salary basis, but they'll give them drafting assignments. Okay, and they pay them on a per matter basis. So if you want to do freelance work for Indian lawyers who work at the Supreme Court, then this is also one opportunity that is available. Okay, so now for that you will have to learn the work properly. So that is where apart from your study materials and all of that, that's included. Hard copy materials are also included. But the class training is very important, where you are practicing that drafting so that you don't have to depend ki I'll first get trained before I can be useful. Because if you depend on that, then the thing is that the opportunity will pass. Okay, you will be taught how to also write articles on Supreme Court practice, and our team will support you with publishing on blog.ipleaders.in, so that your writing gets visibility and you start building your own name, that this person knows about Supreme Court, even though he's practicing, let's say, in Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, or Gujarat, Bombay, but this person knows about Supreme Court. And how our team has been working is that if you take a Supreme Court litigation course and you want to build a Supreme Court practice, they will give you articles on that area first, because that is how it will help you in your career. And the way you write an article which gets published online on a blog is very different from how you write an article in an academic journal, or within an article to be shared within a community of lawyers. That's very different. Okay, so what you will learn here is how to write. You share your insight, high quality insight, but in a way that a briefing counsel and even like a client CFO thinks that this person makes sense. Let's go to this lawyer. Let's tell our in-house counsel that brief this person for the SLP, or let's tell our high court lawyer or tribunal lawyer that when we have to go to Supreme Court, we have to consult this person. So that kind of expertise you will start building over a period of time. This is a 6-month course, okay, and you'll have access to the materials for 3 years. So 6 months you will have these classes twice a week. And if you're going to be, and placement support for obtaining internships with Supreme Court advocates or joining them as junior counsels, both of these will be included. Our placement team will be working on helping you find Supreme Court internships, okay, and Supreme Court juniorships. The course fee is 48,000 rupees. And if you pay in lump sum, there is a discount which is available, because it is easier for us also. We don't have to follow up, administrative cost, all of that is much reduced. So it is 44,000 if you pay in lump sum. There's a 1-month refund policy available. If you study the course for a month and do not benefit, you can claim a refund. This is there so that you don't have a risk. All the risk stays on us. I can show you the refund policy also. You can go to lawseco.com/ I'll just show you /refund -policy. Okay, so this policy says that for 1 month you study the course, attend all the classes, do all the exercises. After that, if you don't like the course for any reason whatsoever, till the 45th day you can raise a request for refund. We will give you a no questions asked refund. We will of course call you and ask you what happened, but we will not try to say no, that is not eligible. We will process the refund and give it. Okay, so you just have to do the course for a month, so that you are safe, your investment is protected. Also, you can pay in installments. If you pay, you can pay in 3 installments. If funds is an issue, you can pay in 3 installments of 16,000 each, payable every month. Okay, so every month you can pay 16,000 each, which will take care of the fees. Okay, and this installment plan is specifically available right now. I'm not sure if that will be available later as well, but for now, for those who are there attending this workshop, the installment payment method is available. It also includes, in case you want to give the AOR advocate on record syllabus, because this is a very common thing, that for various state lawyers also, if you're practicing in the high courts, you want to give the Supreme Court's advocate on record exam, because you want to get those matters where you can assist your clients with the drafting work for the Supreme Court SLPs. Okay, so the advocates on record exam syllabus is covered. thoroughly, and Sanchita will be teaching you all the latest judgments part, the professional ethics part, in addition to the regular Supreme Court drafting for different kinds of petitions. So if you're going to be sitting for the exam in 2021, in 2020 the exam did not take place, so 2021 is likely to have a lot more competition, a lot more people sitting. So preparing ahead of time and preparing deeply is going to be very important. There'll be limited seats in the batch at approximately 20 students. We may do a new batch later. We don't know about it because see, this is a new course and it takes time for any course to we want to ensure that the results are being met. So if any shortfall is there, we want to be there for any kind of personal guidance and all of that. So you can imagine that for the first 20 people, there is going to be a lot of personal guidance and mentoring available because this is the first batch. So, we're going to be trying a lot of innovative things. We are going to be there to help you out. And we want to keep the batch size small so that the learning is more focused. We can deliver more value to everybody. And there's another thing, there will be those of you who want to, I want to reward people who take early action, because the thing is that, most of the culture in the society is to celebrate when we get big success. But big success is not gotten by, at the end. Big success is gotten when you are actually taking the right actions. So I'm going to show you how, for those of you who want to book your seat, how to do that, because we are giving you an option to block your seat and block a special offer. Okay. The special offer being, so I'll just show you how to do that. You can block your seat with 7,000 payment. If you pay this by today, okay, then you have a 7,000 rupee blocking fee so that you don't have to worry and rush for cash. Okay. The link I'm sharing with you, it is lawseco.com/course/offer. I will just put it online and show you. So this is the link. Okay. Asta will also put it on chat. Okay. Here, this is on chat. I've also put it for everyone. lawseco.com/course/offer. Okay. And there is something else that we have bundled in for you, and it's purely complimentary from us. Okay. Which is that you can take up any course, any executive certificate course, which is a part of the litigation library offered by LawSeco. Any one litigation related course, okay, which is there in the litigation library. So you can see, I'll show you LawSeco litigation library. You can see the page here. Okay, this will tell you which are courses available. So I'll take you through the list, because see, Supreme Court practice, you might be doubling that up with some of the forums or some of the other forums like an NCLT, or a criminal litigation practice. So I'm just showing you which are the possible options that you can bundle in for yourself. Okay, you could take a criminal litigation course, or civil litigation, or arbitration, or real estate, or IBC, okay, or legal practice management. Incidentally, even one corporate law course is here. Okay. Then there is a labor and employment law course here, which will have the litigation side and the non-litigation side included here, because litigation doesn't work in isolation. Then if you want to do trademark prosecution, you can do that, or NCLT litigation, media and entertainment, competition law included. Okay, so Supreme Court plus competition work. Supreme Court has jurisdiction over competition appeals. Okay, then cyber law, technology law you can do, or banking finance litigation, or an international commercial arbitration and mediation. So you can choose any one out of these courses. Okay, and you can pursue them either in parallel. If you want to do it in parallel, you can pursue them in parallel, or you can pursue them at any point in time within a period of 2 years. Okay, so that if you say that I am not sure whether I am right now going to study 2 courses at once, if it's too burdensome, then you can space your learning out. Okay, and if you're already studying a course with us and you want to enroll for this as well, then also we will help you to pause one course and start with this. Okay, or to block your seat early. We will support you. You can get in touch with our team. Okay, because you may want to claim the offer even if you're already studying a course with us. Okay, so then you can go to the website and block your seat. But this offer, because see, we are going to be giving you the full training in the other course as well. So it's complimentary and it costs us something, because there are personal evaluations given to you. There's a lot of coaching. There's one-on-one coaching also. You can block sessions with our evaluators or our writing assignment coaches. When you get stuck, then we'll be guiding you. Our placement team is there to guide you. So all of that costs money and resources for us. So we have to limit the offer to a few early action takers, and we are limiting it right now to only 5 people, because beyond that it becomes very difficult for us to bear also. So I want to reward early action takers, yet we can reward the first 5 people who block their seat today. Okay, by midnight tomorrow, this offer will not be there. You can enroll in the Supreme Court litigation course till 14th. There are 20 seats available. So till 14th of February, you can enroll if you want. But if you want the additional course for that, this is the offer that you will need to block your seat today. The first 5 people to block their seat with a 7,000 rupee payment, that is sufficient to block your seat, and you can pay balance by 31st January. So you will get time to manage your funds. Okay. And yeah, so these are the terms of how you can get started early. And if you have any doubts, you can reach out to Uzair. Bhavna Singh, who is there from our team, has mentioned Uzair's number. If you need any help in blocking your seat, you want to decide which course to choose, which free course to choose from the litigation library, any of that you want to decide, you can reach out to Uzair. The number is given to you here on the chat: 84395723115. Okay, 84395723115. Okay, so you can talk to you can write to him saying that I am interested in I have a few questions. You can write that to him. Okay, say I have a few questions. But he will be prioritizing people who have blocked their seat and come to him. And in case you have any problem after that, you want to decide something about the course, you need some guidance, they will provide that. Okay, so you can block your seat now safely, don't worry about it, and then get in touch with us. We will reach out to you for any guidance you need. Okay, so everybody is clear on how to go and block your seat? Okay, write him a message. Okay, don't call him right now. You can write him a message. He'll get in touch with you. Okay, just write a message to him. And did you all see how to go and block the seat? Okay, so don't worry. He will help you out. Okay. And in case anyone's watching us on YouTube, Astha will drop the link on live chat right now at this point in time. Okay. All right, so happy to take more questions and answers. If anybody is blocking your seat right now, you can let me know. I can wait for a couple of minutes so that you have the time to go there and make the payment. I'll show you the link if you want. You all want to see how to block the seat? Or you have understood? See, you have to go here and then you have to click on enroll now here. You have to click here on enroll now. Then you have to put in your email. You'll get an OTP to verify and create your account on our platform. Once you get that OTP, you put it in, and then it will take you to the payment page.
So
then
they
you
will
make
need
the
to
payment.
sign up.
Yeah, you sign up from here, right?
No,
okay.
Arrow part. Yeah.
Here you will sign up from. You sign up from here. Then you'll get an OTP. You put that OTP in, your account gets created, then you make the payment. Okay, so you only need to pay 7,000 today. Okay, is that clear for everybody? Like you understood how to do this, right? Okay, great. So let me know if anybody is blocking the seat. You can say I am today if you're blocking your seat now. Okay, and in fact you can just go there and do it. I'll wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll take questions. 7,000 is not the total fees, Ronak. Total fees is 48,000. This is blocking fee. Okay, you can pay 16,000. That's 48,000. 16,000 per month. Okay, correct. Okay, and with that, for the first 5 people today, there is an additional executive certificate litigation course available, complimentary from our side. And yeah. Okay, and if you pay in lump sum, then there is a discount, a small discount is there. Okay, if you're making a single payment, you are eligible for a discount. Then you pay 44,000. Okay, a single payment is 44,000. Okay. All right, great. So Astha, can you let them know about Sanchita's coming webinars in the week so that they are aware? We will be having more conversations on Supreme Court practice. So can you let them know about this? Sanchita will let them know. Okay, Sanchita, you know the dates on which you are conducting the upcoming webinars on Supreme Court practice?
Oh yes, let me tell you.
Just stay on because there's a lot more learning that will be happening over the coming few weeks. Okay. Ashwad, your questions are addressed? Okay, great. Varun Pathania question is answered. Shubham, stay tuned for our upcoming webinars. We'll be doing a lot of webinars in the course of the next 2 weeks on technology laws. Ankit, for certificate for this workshop, please see, okay, when you registered for the workshop, there's a term. You have to write on LinkedIn, tag specific people, and then send it to, who is the team member they have to send it to, Asa? I think you have to send it to one person. You have to send it to Bhavna Agarwal, and then you will get the certificate. Please don't say that, I am waiting, I didn't get the certificate without doing this. Please do this work and then you will get the certificate. There is no problem. Okay. Prakhar, we will introduce something to you later on space and aviation law.
There is a question. A person is practicing in tribunal but not going to High Court, District Court. So can he practice directly in Supreme Court? I think that is what he means.
Yeah, you can do.
Which tribunal? Which tribunal?
He hasn't mentioned this.
Okay, depends. If it's a tribunal for which the appeals come directly to the Supreme Court, then of course, even if not, then he can still build up a practice in the Supreme Court. Of course, he'll have to work through it.
Okay, there is another interesting question. To find an advocate, should I go to the High Court and Supreme Court and ask for contact details? Will they allow me to enter courts?
Right now, as in during COVID, or generally?
You can tell them about the entry restrictions. In the Supreme Court, there are stronger entry restrictions, though in High Court.
Yeah, but they can go to the chambers. They can definitely go to the chambers and interact with the lawyers. That's all.
See, the thing is that Supreme Court lawyers are really busy and, they're doing a lot of high profile work. They will not have the time, to have a much longer conversation with you without having some sense of who you are, without knowing about your work. So make sure you establish some initial connect with them. And, that's as easy to establish through that's easier to establish through online interactions and create some kind of profile, create some mock drafts of Supreme Court petitions. By the way, I just want to tell you, like, one of the ways we help senior lawyers recruit, I had to help my dad recruit a junior, and he's a senior standing counsel for government at the High Court and tribunals. So he basically made a problem which had a tax problem, and I think it was an appeal to the High Court or the Supreme Court, and the person had to draft that. Okay, and so it was shared with our students, and the person who drafted that appeal, then he recruited. Okay, and he was very happy because he was getting juniors who were not very good with it, and then he was very happy to find a junior who's dedicated and who's got the relevant skills. So we have seen that this method of training people by making them perform the exact task that they'll perform as Supreme Court lawyers or lawyers in any particular forum, that really works very well in building the confidence. So I would suggest that the time you walk into the Supreme Court or the High Court and you meet a lawyer, even if it's anonymous, you please go with a file, a dossier, okay, of your work. And what is your work? Look, you may not have filed 20 petitions at the Supreme Court, but you would have at least drafted some 15, 16 exercise petitions in a mock situation for Supreme Court litigation, and that you can carry and explain to the senior advocate or the Supreme Court advocate that how you did it. Okay, and they will appreciate that, and they'll say, chalo, I don't have to teach this person from the scratch. Okay, that is the most important thing. I'll show you what kind of exercises you will learn. I'll just show you. So you can visit this page. You'll come to know what all you will learn. I forgot to take you through this page, but I should. So I'll show you the weekly exercises. So there are aspects around case law research and distinguishing particular cases. Then, we're going to give you high court orders, and we'll say, okay, now how are you going to file the SLP? How are you going to frame the grounds? Okay. How to draft original suits at Supreme Court, how to draft a writ petition on the civil side, on the criminal side, how to do it on the, how to draft habeas corpus, mandamus writ petition, commercial writs, how they work, civil SLP, criminal appeal, okay, under the Enlargement of Jurisdiction Act. This is a 1970 statute. Appeal under NCLAT. So somebody was saying I worked at tribunal and then can I file appeal? Should I do any practice at Supreme Court? Definitely NCLAT appeals practice in that case if you're in that tribunal. So from most of the tribunals, you will see that there is in the parent statute an appellate jurisdiction which the Supreme Court has, maybe on a substantial question of law or on, or some other ground. So substantial question of law, what constitutes that and how to make it evident in your drafting, that Sanchita will be training you, and she will be inviting a lot of senior advocates also to take some guest lectures with her. Okay. Then how to draft appeal under NCDR, before NCDRC, under the Consumer Protection Act. Transfer petitions, civil and criminal. These are very important to draft for the AOR exam also. Then written submissions and convenience note before the court. Contempt petition. So you're seeing the whole jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is being covered. And you're not reading Supreme Court rules here. You're actually drafting the full petitions. Arbitration petition. Can anybody tell me when arbitration petition is to be filed before Supreme Court? All international commercial arbitrations, section 11, you will be filing. And then you will also have arbitration related SLPs, okay, and all of that being filed. Then review petition, curative petition. So those of you who've studied family law, you'd have read about curative petitions. Now you will see how to file and what is the process required to draft and file it. Counter affidavits, interlocutory applications.
The person is asking if he needs to be a lawyer to study this program.
If you have a matter at the Supreme Court or the High Court, and you want more knowledge about briefing your counsel, then you can study and benefit from this. Okay. Although the intention is for lawyers, but you will be able to read and understand this if you are familiar with law. And if you have had personal litigation going on till trial court or high court level, I'm pretty sure you have already studied a lot of law. So then you can read and understand this. Because what happens is that sometimes what's the biggest problem of a client and a lawyer? The client thinks, "Arey, ye kyun nahi bol sakta hai? Why can't you say this at the court?" And the lawyer is like, "Boss, I can only argue substantial question of law. Don't ask me to argue fact in a statutory appeal before Supreme Court arising from a tribunal matter." So that's the thing. Okay. So that kind of understanding will be clear for you. Okay. So then there are role play simulations for briefing and argument, because you have to brief senior advocates. And, we've heard situations where if your briefing is pointless, you'll be simply dismissed from the chamber. So those kind of things are covered here. Okay. And professional ethics and leading case law, how we're going to teach you is we're going to give you a lot of practice question banks based on the recent cases and the previous year's question papers. And how it works is that there are certain specific things that you must know anytime, because from those areas questions keep coming again and again. And then there are some parts which you need to know from the last year or last 2 years developments that will be covered. Okay, let's get back to question answer. So you love business law. Some people say you are best in arguing. Superb, Ronak. So if you want to argue before the Supreme Court, then do LLB degree also. Okay, great. So Sanchita has shared a list of workshops in case people want to attend. And so you can keep attending these. Registration for the workshops is free. Sanchita, you can share webinar topics also if you have with you. So on, I'll just tell you, 25th, we're doing an exciting one. How to brief a senior advocate at the Supreme Court. February 4th, how to set up a Supreme Court practice for newcomers. February 9th, how to crack AOR exam. Okay. February 14th, how to start building a Supreme Court practice while you're litigating at a high court, tribunal, or district court. Okay. And Sanchita will be doing some webinars from time to time, starting the earliest webinar that's next is on 24th January. She has pasted this on chat. Okay.
I've shared it as well now.
Yeah. Okay. So just get a sense of this, guys, that, you'll be seeing a lot more of Sanchita in the coming days. Please, if you're interested, you can go and register for her webinars. Is there any, I'll check if there's a link available. Okay. Let's do question answer now. Okay. It's fine. It's fine, Sanchita. So basically from 24th onwards, you're doing regular webinars and imparting a lot of free training for people who want to work in the Supreme Court. Okay. So how can we help you further? Are there any questions that you all have?
What's your thought on the BCI's recent notification as regarding to the 2-year LLM and the 3-year mandatory practice for lower judicial eligibility?
Out of scope, yeah. You all ask us for opinions like we are in a position to make a difference to that. Huh? Okay. So you don't have any questions on this topic? There's nothing we can do about that notification.
People want to know about boosting their CVs. Many have asked.
About boosting your CV?
Yeah.
In what connection? Can you read out a few questions?
Ma'am,
I
how
came in
we
later.
should actually boost our CV, taking the condition like we are going to do our first internship.
Okay. So, if you are doing it before Supreme Court lawyer, before with a Supreme Court lawyer, there are two ways. Na, if you're doing a first internship there, you may be in your second, third, or fourth year. And what people do is they find out somebody they can, if somebody has a network there, somebody through a relative, koi bhi, matlab you find somebody connected, then that's one way of getting an internship. The other is when you go with some understanding of Supreme Court work, then a lawyer, a senior will be interested. Okay, so boosting your CV means this only, mostly that, see, when you start law school, you think that, research, writing, internships, articles, that's what's needed to get a good job, or to get a good internship. But what happens is that for every area, the pathway is different, and you must have the research or the articles or the internships or the work in that specific area. So if you have corporate articles and you want to intern in Supreme Court, or you have trial court articles, you're interning in Supreme Court, then they'll perceive you as a kid only. Okay. And the difficulty is that how do you convince them over everybody else who has got the same CV? So what you will have to do is you will have to get ahead of the batch that you are in, and you'll have to do some specific work on the Supreme Court. So that is where the training that the Supreme Court course will be providing, because you'll have drafts you can send them. So you'll actually send them attachment of your drafts of your mock SLPs, writ petitions in the attachment itself. And when a lawyer sees that you are coming prepared to them, they are very impressed and they want to at least meet you and give you 1 month internship. Then they'll see your work, and then you'll come to know. Also, a lot of times you'll not be directly working with the senior, you may be working with one or two of their juniors, but the juniors will find it very beneficial and very useful to have you on their side, right? Because the first time I remember in my second year when I did a Supreme Court internship, I couldn't follow anything because I would not know which stage of the hearing the case is at. I'd have a ton of documents, parties pleadings, high court order, and I didn't understand how things are working. Okay. And the senior I interned under, he was Chhattisgarh State Advocate General who had moved his practice after that to Supreme Court. Okay. So he was getting all the matters from Chhattisgarh, but I didn't have any understanding of that. So getting that perspective is going to be really important. Okay. And for me, I felt that, okay, because I didn't have any understanding, I was quite disheartened. I was like, how will I ever make a name in the Supreme Court? Because, a lot of us have our first passion that, okay, many of us started to do law because we thought ki litigator banna hai, we want to be very famous, rich lawyers or big lawyers, reputed lawyers. And I also had that sense. But when I saw that, I didn't understand in my first Supreme Court internship, there was a pathway to becoming a reputed Supreme Court litigator. So that starts getting resolved when you start acquiring the skills, you start finding a good senior, crack the AOR exam. And then, even if you want to be not situated in Delhi, you can do your trial court and high court work for clients, and then refer matter, and then also brief seniors when the matter goes to Supreme Court, or do freelance drafting work for seniors who are in Delhi, but you may be in any other place. Okay. Those kind of opportunities then open up. Okay. Make sense? Say yes if this is making sense. Say no if it's not making sense. Okay, Ronak for Supreme Court PIL. We'll teach you how to have PIL in that. There is no separate course on PIL, okay? It's included in this. Recordings are available, but Ronak, if you join later, we may not have seats available. That is the only thing. The course may close. Only 20 seats are there, okay? And there is no comparison if you are participating live versus watching recordings. Recordings will be available, but it's not comparable. Okay, if you are clueless about drafting your statement for trial courts, then there's a very simple thing. You can take the Supreme Court course and then take the criminal litigation and trial advocacy course with it, okay, as a complementary one, or a civil litigation course, and then that will cover the trial court part. Otherwise, if you only want the trial court part, then you can take the course separately, pay for it, and register for that. There's a civil litigation course and a criminal litigation course available. That'll take care of the trial aspect. Okay, any other questions that we can help you with? Abhishek wants to ask a question.
What should they do to what to do for senior advocates to look while taking internship? What senior advocates look for while taking interns, basically?
Sanchita will be better placed to answer. They may look for prior experience, but beyond that, Sanchita will know more.
See, as I was saying, I think the person joined late. I was saying for senior advocates, it doesn't matter who comes and does internship. So it's not, they are not really looking for something, but if you can show them, if you just by showcasing your, say, in-depth knowledge, even during a conversation, if you can tell them how you have followed their work and what you really like and why you really want to do, if you can have that kind of conversation, one conversation with them, that even can work for you.
One more thing I would suggest, okay, when we send our CVs, is to send a video CV. A video CV meaning like I'm on video like that. So you send a video CV so that somebody can understand without having to take the pain of inviting you for a meeting. You send them a 2-minute recording uh, of a mock interview, like of your interview, really telling them about yourself, your skills, and how you can contribute to the practice. Don't talk about hobbies and passions. Talk about how you can contribute to the practice and how your application is relevant. That'll cut short the entire process, okay? And this is not done a lot of times, but this will be really helpful. Imagine receiving an email with your PDF CV, your video CV, talking about Supreme Court practice and samples of your work and your Supreme Court articles. You will be literally rejection proof, right? Okay.
Yes, Abhishek, go ahead. Abhishek wants to ask a question.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for such an enriching session. Ma'am, I want to ask if in the LLB course, is it mandatory to have internships?
Yes.
Internship at all or internship in Supreme Court?
Internship in general, I'm asking, because I am in final year and I haven't done any internship yet.
So if you want to get good jobs, you should start getting a hang of real work, which is only possible through internships and through learning for those internships. Getting
But
those
is it
internships
mandatory for having a degree to have internship in
No,
the final
you'll get
year?
your LLB degree.
I will get my LLB degree. And other thing I want to ask, can we get an opportunity to meet ma'am in person sometimes by coming to her chamber or something?
You have to ask her that.
Oh yes, you are. Where are you in Delhi or will
Yes.
you travel to?
I am in Delhi, ma'am. I am in Greater Noida.
Right, sure. Yeah, no problem.
So where
She'll let you know,
but
just get in
it's
touch
that-
with her, no? Yeah, just get in touch with
I'll
her.
just share my email ID with you,
Sure.
or you can contact me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Yeah. Any other questions that we can help you with? Did you all enjoy the workshop? Say yes if you enjoyed, or say enjoyed if you enjoyed.
You can say no as well.
And if you say, yeah, you can say no, you can give us feedback, any criticism, anything else you want. Like somebody said, we want technology laws workshop. We'll do that, okay? Somebody has written to Astha that, okay, somebody is doing LLM in securities and investment laws from NISM. You want a job of associate with a senior advocate. Then you need to know what a senior advocate does at Supreme Court, okay? Securities law work से नहीं चलेगा काम. Of course, securities appellate tribunal से जाएगा appeal, but the securities law work you do will not be working at the Supreme Court level, okay? If you practice at Sessions Court in UP and you don't have backing and support, should you think of Apex Court practice? I would suggest that you also do Apex Court practice in addition, because see, today it's simply the question how successful you are as a lawyer is a function of how many skills you have, okay? And which skills start to take more ground, which skills you start to pick up better and start to get work, that is going to be making a difference. So having 2-3 extra skills than the remaining lawyers in your UP session courts is not going to be a harmful thing. It's going to be actually a big advantage, and you'll realize that later. You know that Criminal Court Enlargement of Jurisdiction Act, in the cases where the imprisonment is 7 years or above, there is a appeal to the Supreme Court. That's not SLP, okay? That's a statutory appeal. So that kind of practice then you can start to develop. So you have to think of that.
And it's possible to do it. You can continue with the district court practice and have a parallel Supreme Court practice as well. It will be, in fact, beneficial for you, even for a district court.
Elder persons who pursue law will get internship under leading lawyers. What's your opinion? So Sanchita will have some opinion, and I will have my 2 cents on it, which is that
Right.
file a
Can you,
PIS.
no, can you come again? I didn't get the question.
He's saying that elder persons who pursue law will get internship under leading lawyers. Is it possible? What's your opinion?
Oh, it's possible. I mean, everything is possible. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
We
more
have had
possible.
interns. Sorry.
Tell me.
No, we have had foreign interns with no exposure on Indian law, and we kind of customized our internships to suit their needs, what they can get out of it.
One thing I can say is that litigation is less age specific than corporate. In corporate, still you have more like, age can get a bar from time to time, but in litigation, so there is no retirement age also. Okay. And the seniors are also obviously senior in age as well. So, it's a lot easier if you have more years by your side. It's a lot easier to still start work as a junior. Okay. And do you agree, Sanchita? Like, is this
right? See, in UK, US, it's such a common practice to have mature students, right? So it's not even a question there whether you will be, won't be. Of course, there are certain kind of it just brings diversity to the workspace, and there are people need to be open about it, etc. But only to that extent. Other than that, of course, as you said, Abhita, that for a senior to be able to interact with somebody of and it's very comfortable for them. Actually, I've seen people when people of because we all are very young in our office, so whenever somebody walks in, he really enjoys interacting with them. He enjoys interacting with younger people as well, because that's different. He doesn't do it every day, so therefore it's interesting to have.
Okay, so somebody's asking, as a student of law, where can I learn more? From a big lawyer or any good lawyer who doesn't have big name. So I will start to say that as a student of law, you should start to learn first on your own and then play it out, perform with a lawyer. Okay, now if you're working with a very big lawyer, chances are that he'll have a very big team and you will have to work with their juniors. So if you're interning with somebody with 10 to 15 to 20 years of experience, there may be opportunities for more personal interaction. Okay, but trust me, that's not going to be a training ground. So you will have to come prepared to the field, and you will learn then only when you're ready to take that kind of input, for which you must be pre-prepared. Okay, you do not go to litigation to expect training unless you think that you have 20 years or 15 years in life to spare without earning. Then you can go. I wanted to be a litigator, but that was my view, that 10 or 15 years I'll have to spend without even earning survival cost. I didn't have that desire for me to work on an unpaid basis or earn peanuts. And so I quit out of that. And later I realized that people who go prepared, who train themselves, then it is not like that. There are so many opportunities to bag. Okay, so the thing is that you have to think of your mindset and frame it in a way that you go prepared with to work with a lawyer. Okay, even if you go as an intern. First year law student and you want to become a corporate lawyer, I want to know what importance does an internship under a senior advocate hold in the view of corporate field. um, there are matters which corporate matters go to Supreme Court, especially in the dispute side. There are appeals from, I think, NCLAT also go, and there are SLPs which have gone. Yeah, and there are SLPs which have gone also to Supreme Court. Sometimes you'll brief senior advocates. So, but it's good to know, but it's not like a mandatory thing. But if you want to learn about it, it will help. Okay, like I remember in the law firm when I worked in trilegal, we had gone once to brief a senior advocate at the Supreme Court. Okay, so in 1 year, and so if there's an ongoing matter, sometimes the corporate lawyers may get involved and there will be regular briefings. So these things can come in handy at any point in time, and you'll be surprised that something you thought is not going to help you is really really now helping. Because and corporate lawyers feel this need that we don't understand litigation, and today what is happening is all the big matters where a lot of money is at stake and where they are getting paid well also by clients, those are very complex. It's a mix of corporate and litigation, and corporate lawyers feel a big lack of familiarity with the litigation and dispute system. आपको लगेगा अरे कल hearing में सब decide हो जाएगा क्या हुआ, but nothing happened. There was a small order that was passed for the next date. So corporate lawyers have this problem, and which they frequently deal with, that they don't understand when a matter goes to litigation. So this is very important for them to know.
Okay, there are certain firms that are really bridging that gap, and those lawyers are really doing a great job in understanding the nitty-gritties of litigation, and we have seen that they are coming to brief us more often. The way the Supreme Court practice works is very different. Somebody drafts it, somebody comes to brief it. So even somebody who understands both the games can make a lot of money just by knowing both.
Okay. One person asked, what if you get an online internship under an AOR but later realize quality of work is sheerly inappropriate? You don't get work that you specifically mentioned in your CV and cover letter. So then it's just a waste of time. Whatever you do, you won't be able to add anything in CV. So the thing is that, it's not about the lawyer's problem that, you're getting inappropriate work. Usually your CV won't have enough to give you any appropriate work. The situation is ulta. Okay, if you have stuff that you've done with respect to the Supreme Court, and AOR will be like, God bless you, man, I'm going to give you my work. Please do it. Okay. But the reason you don't get appropriate work is because there's nothing in your CV which says you can do AOR level work or, any drafting of Supreme Court matters. Okay. And if you get 1 or 2 or 3 internships wrong, guys, there's nothing wrong with it. Please apply for other internships. Use those as stepping stones. Okay, but one thing I can guarantee you, if you go unprepared for an internship, for sure it's going to be a waste of your time, and it's going to be a waste of like 3 inches of space on your CV. Okay, please don't do that. Okay, and this happened with me. I've gone unprepared from an NLU into internships because there were no opportunities at that time. There were no options to be pre-prepared. Okay, so I didn't understand the work that I was getting, like in my third year internships for a long time. Like a few internships went by before I could actually understand it. So in my 5th year interview, I have a tier 1 law firm internship, and I don't remember the work I did. And I'm like, how will I talk about this real estate work that I did? Should I manufacture a story, or what should I say? Because I had nothing in my mind. So that's why, being unprepared for internships is a bad idea. If you don't get work, you can always convince your senior to give you work, unless your senior doesn't have work. I will bet you that the chances of a senior not giving work reduce if you're skilled to do the work, unless the senior doesn't have work. Then the senior will tell you, and you can do something about it then. Okay.
Okay, Shubhrajyoti has a question. You can go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Also, if I may add, in virtual internships, the soft skills that I was talking about, the communication skills, are coming into play, because sometimes interns are waiting for me to contact them. Sometimes I'm waiting for them to contact. So it's very important to establish that with the person you're working, as to who will contact whom, how, when. And if you're constantly sending work, then it's in their context, and they keep giving you work. Once you've taken a week or 10 days to get back to them with the work, then you become of no use to them. They can't even see you in front of them. So it's easier to forget about you. That's all. That's my personal experience.
Okay.
Yes, Shubhrajyoti.
So, hi, sir.
Hi.
So, I got a chance to interact with ma'am earlier in this session. So, I asked her whether, I tried my best to work as a corporate lawyer. I mean, the first steps towards that milestone. And I also was thinking about how to join the legal team of a legal advisor, being a legal advisor. So, I shifted back to Bangalore. I started following you in LinkedIn. So I had no clue. I got no clue. I have been asking people how to start my career. What are the skills? What are the things I need to prepare for myself to see myself in that position after 5 years or 10 years, whatever time it may take. So I really wanted to ask you this question. So what should I do? How should I, prepare myself?
Sanchita.
Abhita, this is for you. So he had asked me this question before. I'm sorry, Abhita was just replying to somebody on chat.
I was replying on chat. Just can you repeat it? You've done some corporate work and now you want to do Supreme Court practice in 5 to 10 years. Is that the question?
No, it's not that the question.
Okay,
Actually,
sorry.
what I'm trying to say is, no, it's sorry. What I'm trying to say is, I want to see myself as an corporate lawyer or as a legal advisor or a legal team member of a company. We already have a startup. I'm also already working, or like, I'm trying to learn few things. I have been following your few videos of making terms and conditions of a company, I mean e-commerce platform. So I've been trying my best to learn many things from whatever I can. But the thing is that people have been asking, they doesn't know about how to start a career in corporate law. People has been asking to go for litigation or criminal or civil practice. Nobody is. I mean, I couldn't find a appropriate answer how to start my career as a corporate lawyer. So I really wanted to ask you this question. So what should I do? What are the skill sets? Like I've been doing internships under intellectual property law firms and other firms as well. But I'm like, I never saw a clear idea how should I take my approach. I want to see myself in that position in 5 years or 10 years.
So you're
or
clear
in
that you
legal
want to be a
advisory.
corporate lawyer in 5 to 10 years and people around you are not talking about it and you want to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you will need to start, there are various practice areas in corporate law. There are generic practice areas like there's general corporate contracts, M&A, banking, finance, like that. It's not necessary to choose one practice area right now, but you need to get familiar with that and learn some things and then do internships. Have you graduated?
Yeah, I have graduated last year only, and now I'm trying for LLM. So like I have no idea. So I thought of like doing LLM and buying myself a little bit of time.
So the best way to go about this is, learn skills as fast as possible and get a 1 month internship, or a 3 month internship. You apply directly for 3 month unpaid internships. Okay. After you learn, but if you don't learn and go untrained, then it can take you 1 year, 2 years, and you may be then shown the door when you ask for a job. That risk is there. Okay. But if you go trained, then there's a very good chance that, if you, after your 1 month, firstly, firms will start considering you, is this person going to be a good hire, even though they are not paying you. And within that 3 month time, you will be able to land up a job. But yeah, if you're doing LLM, you are probably going to lose 1 year at least. Okay. And there's going to be no appreciable difference as far as your preparedness for a corporate law job is concerned.
So I mean, when you say go for that job, so why should I apply? I mean, if I'm feeling like I have adequate skill set as of now, so why should I apply right now or in future or in never
if you
future?
feel you have adequate skill sets, you can start looking at the firm rank lists and start applying. You can apply to a small firm also, but you'll have, their lists are available. The question is, what will make them open your application and process it further? Do you have that in your CV and in your track record? Because if that is not there, then you will not get responses. But sure, you can apply and find it out. You have the list, right? You know which corporate law firms are there. There's Legal 500, there are Chambers law rankings and all of that. So you can pick up various kinds of law firms and then apply, but you'll have customize it based on the work that law firm does. So M&A practice के लिए थोड़ा different होता है CV, banking finance के लिए थोड़ा different है. So that is what you will have to do. Okay. And if you feel that you need any guidance, then feel free to come back to us. Uzair is there to help you. You can have a call with me also if you want. But so there's a longer path. Okay. It's not directly कि यहाँ apply करो हो जाएगा. Okay. So they'll need to review your CV, and our placement team, if you want one free CV review, they will do the CV review and talk to you on phone and tell you, what can be improved. If you want that, then you can take Aparajita's number. Asta will put it on the chat. Okay. So Aparajita will give you like a CV counseling. Okay. And you can send her your CV and then she can give you a review. Okay. Abhishek, there is which website allows you to apply for internship? There is no specific website in the law legal domain, but we help all our students get internships and jobs. So it's been like in January, for example, there have been 9 job offers that have been made to our students. Our students means they are not law students alone. There are a lot of law grads. Okay. So in Jan only, so market's opening up now. Like people are making a lot more hiring offers than they were making last year. Last year, like 400 plus people got opportunities and about 15 of them were jobs. I'm not offhand very familiar with the data, but 9 have just got in January. So we are seeing a lot more rise in the jobs that are available. Okay. So this year is going to be different, and internship, job support, CV support, opportunities, client opportunities for independent practitioners, all those things are given by our placement team. They help out through the journey of your course. Okay, and it's not like there's a time limit key. If you are doing a 6-month course, then only for 6 months you'll get it. You can continue to get those opportunities after you complete the course also. And also they are not limited to giving you only one internship or one job opportunity. They'll share as many job opportunities as you want to apply for, and you should not get blacklisted. Okay, so you follow proper ethics and you do the work, so then they will keep helping you. Okay, there are people who've got 3 and 4 internships, 5-6 clients from our network, and which our team has shared. Okay, so yeah, any other questions? Anybody booked their seat at the moment? Let me know if anybody just blocked their seat. Okay, so should we close? How much time is good for AOR preparation? Look, when the courts are on, people want to prepare for at least 4 months, but they don't get to, and then they say jab court ki chutti hogi, in that summer court vacation we will prepare. That's about 25-30 days, but that's the last moment. Okay, that's like preparing for a competitive exam in the last 6 months or last 3 months, when there's no other option and there's no time, and at that time you're leaving your chances to luck. Okay, so if you want enough time to prepare and crack it, give it at least 5 months, 4 months, and give yourself some structured learning, because unstructured learning takes a lot more time. So you want 4 months of prep. If you do it in an unstructured way, it may take 3 to 5 times as much time. So it may take 1 to 2 years. Okay, because see, nobody tells you. You don't hear from people who didn't crack the AOR exam, but you hear from people who cracked the AOR exam. They'll tell you, I studied for 1 month. They might be in a specific situation which you don't know about. How many others attempted it and didn't crack it? That also you need to know, right? Eligibility, Sanchita will tell you that you need to have 4 years of experience under. Sanchita will say
1 year, 4 years, and then 1 year with an advocating record of 10 years standing. And then when you appear for an exam, after 1 year, you get your result. And that commencement certificate that you are required to give, it's at a time. So ultimately, it ends up being 7 years by the time you become. But it's 4+1. Yeah.
Somebody asked on what basis we select internship and reject interns. So we are talking about Supreme Court lawyers, right? Or you're asking about us? See, anybody who's selecting interns wants to know simply this, okay? कि हमारा काम कौन अच्छे से कर सकता है? How do we trust that you know the work? Have you done something similar before? That's the basis. Okay, always keep this in mind. That's the basis. Can you do our work? Do you know about our work? And they will think of it like that only. You should know what we do. You should have researched that. You should have figured that out. And if you know how to do it, then we are going to take you eyes closed. You don't want those borderline chances, no, where the other person has to take a leap of faith. Ki, chalo, let's consider this person. Maybe, maybe not. Because then you're on the borderline. You may get rejected also. You want a convincing chance that, if somebody sees this CV, whoever it is, they are going to be accepting me. So out of 10 places you apply to, at least 3 or 4 you get accepted for, clearly. That's what you want, right? Is it good to intern in trial courts or corporate? Well, they have different purposes. So you can intern anywhere, depends on what you want in your career. You should call Uzair for a detailed guidance. Okay, Abhishek, these are fundamental questions you want to decide when you are studying law, and he will tell you, because the important thing is that you have to be capable of being independent once you graduate. And there are various pathways to do that. And he'll help you set up a pathway. Uzair's number is on screen. Please note it down. Have a detailed call with him. And Vaibhav, you can write to Sanchita on her email ID. Okay, so should we close the session? Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for being there, everybody. It was great interacting with you all, and look forward to seeing you in our upcoming sessions as well. Okay.
Thank
Bye
you.
and have a great Sunday. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks.